It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here in this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal.
Welcome to MoneyBomb. 2 days to wake up the world. I'm Russell Dowden for Infowars.com and Infowars Magazine. Yes, we are live, bringing you right through 48 hours of constant breaking through the lines of tyranny. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, and thanks for that great report from Jakari and Matt Williams. They're on gun control. I'm Russell Dowden, again, with Infowars.com and Infowars Magazine. What a great privilege it is to be here hosting this show tonight. Thank you, folks, for tuning in with us. We are live. It is now, Friday the 19th, 1:10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the broadcast tonight, guys, and sticking with us. You can help support the InfoWar and make a difference. Again, I want to remind folks of the phone numbers to call in. Our staff is here taking your phone calls. If you'd like to make a donation, $10, $25, $50. Hey, maybe you want to buy the Obama Joker shirt. We dug some of these up out of the vault yesterday, and Alex even autographed some of these. You might want to pick one of those up. Phone lines are open, 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139 if you guys like to get a shirt. I don't know, maybe order a bundle of magazines. We've got magazines. We've got plenty of these available. We still can get some of these out for you guys. My guys are working hard right now in the back there, working on issue number 3 of Infowars Magazine, so we're looking forward to that. 888-253-3139. Tell your friends about the websites, InfowarsMoneyBomb.com. And make a donation, check out the streams, post the streams, post the link out there on your social media, your networks, and spread the word out there. We have already generated, thanks to your support, over $100,000 this far in the process of the fundraising. So excellent support of you guys out there. Gotta say, man, it's what a thrill to be here. I've been a fan of Alex's. I've known Alex for, about 12 years. I used to publish Weird Magazine and do a kind of a paranormal talk show many years ago on GCN Networks when I met and knew Alex. What a thrill it is to be here tonight and host this Money Bomb for you guys here live tonight. And keep the support going. Infowars Money Bomb, our 5th year. Keep that stuff coming in, guys. Make your calls. We'll be taking phone calls later here in the broadcast. The number to call in again is 877-789-2539, 877-789-ALEX. If you'd like to call in and talk with myself and our guest tonight, no stranger to this program, Philip J. Berg, joining us from Pennsylvania on the Skype, I believe, tonight. And Philip Berg, author of ObamaCrimes.com. Obama Crimes is the website for Phil Berg. Philip J. Berg, Esquire, the first attorney who filed the lawsuit against Barack Obama on August 21st of 2008, challenging Obama's lack of constitutional eligibility to actually even serve as president of the United States. And the only way to really guarantee that Obama will not be president for a second term is to expose Obama for the fraud that he really is, the phony, the imposter. And Obama has put forth, one of the greatest hoaxes in American history. And this right from ObamaCrimes.com in over 230 years. And the alleged free press media, so-called media, has even refused to investigate this obvious, and public elected officials have just refused to even acknowledge what Philip Berg has tried to put forth to get this information out there, and why is that exactly? So we will ask Phil Berg these questions and many more, and take your phone calls again to call in 877-789-ALEX to call in and talk to our guest tonight here on the program. Welcome to the program, Phil Berg. How are you doing?
Fine. Excuse me. It's my pleasure to be on your show. I, too, have known Alex for a number of years, and I appreciate what he's doing, and I hope everyone out there supports his efforts with this money bomb, because it's essential that people like Alex Jones get spread around and can speak with the truth of what's going on in this country, because so many lies are put forth. The biggest lie, as far as I'm concerned currently, is the fact that Obama was born in Hawaii. It's so bad it's a joke. But the thing is, it's detrimental to all of us, because he really doesn't belong there. You really can't impeach him because he doesn't belong there. The only way to get him out is legally. I hope at the next effort at the polls that he loses at the polls, but I'm going to continue my effort to expose Obama for the reason that everything he's passed, everything he's done is illegal. It's like Obamacare and everything else that he's brought into this country for the last 4 years that has hurt us, and really it has. If I can expose him, these things would have to be overturned and go down the drain. In addition to your money bomb, I've been requesting people to make contributions. I'm shooting for a much higher number, and people haven't done it. But if you can, in addition to money bomb, match whatever you're giving to them to us. We're trying to raise enough money to expose him by way of putting out a reward for the person who has the information which will expose Obama, because someone has it out there. I went to some big money people asking for $2 million, and it hasn't come through yet, but there's people out there that are spending so much money for Obama, and on the other hand, so much money for Romney, that if they would put up a reward, I really think that someone has the information and he would be exposed. And can you just imagine if in the next 3 weeks we could expose him for what he really is? He would go down the drain big time. You know where Obama belongs right now? Not in the White House, ladies and gentlemen. You know where he belongs?
The big house.
He belongs in the big house. He belongs actually in prison because of what he has done to this country. He was born in Hawaii like I was born in Hawaii, and I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have on our website something from Sarah Obama, and people said they've changed it, but we have a video of Sarah Obama with her, I'm pretty sure a video, if not the audio. We have her words that were, she speaks in Swahili. And we had a minister here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, on the phone with one of his ministers in Africa, sitting next to Sarah Obama in her home in Kenya, and asked the question, where were you August 4th, 1961? And she states in Swahili, and it's translated, that she was in the hospital August 4th, 1961, where Obama was born in the hospital in Mombasa, Kenya. It's pretty hard to overcome that. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, the media has never done anything here. Yeah. Remember what happened with the media with Palin when she was nominated for vice president. Right. Our media ran to Alaska. They looked under every stone, behind every door, and opened every drawer, and questioned her about anything and everything. What did they do with Obama? Nothing. It's a shame. I think this country decided several years ago through the power brokers, it's not you and I, it's some of the money people, that Obama, they wanted a black president. Now,
well, I don't get, to me, what I don't understand, Phil, is that this should be like the biggest story for Republicans to play off of here going into November with the elections. Why hasn't the Republican Party made this an issue here in 2012? Why wouldn't the Romney folks make this an issue here in 2012? Is this the issue just died? Why is it suddenly a non-issue here in 2012?
It doesn't make sense. The only thing I can think of, a lot of people come out first off and say, Hillary Clinton, why didn't she bring it out? And I think she didn't bring it out for the reason that, in my opinion, Obama probably had something on her or her husband. you know, high politics here. They deal with all kinds of stuff. They have stuff on her. Who knows what it could be on Hillary? There's so many questions about her, like, you know, her sexuality and things like that, which I could care less. One thing, let me bring out to everyone here. The fact is they keep saying this is a right-wing conspiracy. I blow that because I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm still a registered Democrat. I ran for governor in Pennsylvania and also U.S. Senate in the primaries. The party people don't want me because I won't kiss their butts. Then many people on the air, I've been on probably 2,000 radio shows since 2008 when I started this. Then people say, well, you're a racist. And I said, well, on radio, I said, you can't see me. I happen to be white. I happen to be Jewish, but I'm also paid up member of the NAACP. So they don't know what to do with someone like me. And they say, well, how can a Democrat sue a Democrat? And I say, well, the most important factor is the U.S. Constitution. That's more important than any political party. So they don't know what to do with me. I haven't gone away. I'm going to keep going if it takes 5 more years to expose this guy, because everyone around him belongs in jail at this point.
Well, you know, Phil, that's really what the main issue here is. And the main issue should be is that if you're not a citizen, you can't be president. And, you know, and years ago, I don't want to say about 7, 8, 9 years ago, Alex did the website. So here at InfoWars, we came up with the website, ArnoldExposed.com. And there was an old site, but it raised the same issue to expose our Arnold for the crook he is, and that, you know, and to emphasize that he wasn't born in the United States and he could not have a legitimate run for presidency. But that's the main issue here, Phil, is that if you're not born in the USA, as the Chiefs Marine song says, then you can't run for president. And why haven't we seen a real birth certificate thus far?
I don't know, but interesting on Arnold Schwarzenegger, before his current problem, which everyone knows what's going on, right. Many times in the last 10, 15 years, he asked they asked him about running for president. And what did he constantly say? He said, amend the Constitution. I mean, he admits the fact he wasn't born here in the United States. What does Obama do? Obama ignores it. Obama walks all over our Constitution. There's 2 issues here. Number one, I have no question, if I had $1 million, I would even bet the fact that I'm right, that he was born in Mombasa, Kenya, Africa. The next thing is, even if he, listen carefully, even if he was born in Hawaii, which he wasn't, but let's say he was, his parents divorced when he was 2 or 3 years old. His mother remarries. She remarries a fellow named Lolo Sotoro, S-O-E-T-O-R-O, from Indonesia. And he goes to Indonesia with his mother. There's a law in the 1960s. There was problems in Indonesia. They were at war. The only ones who could go to school there were individuals that were natural born. Well, we knew he wasn't natural born, but it also said if he was adopted or acknowledged by his stepfather, then he could be considered natural born. But we have the school record. The school record indicates his name is Barry Sotoro. It indicates that his nationality is Indonesia, and it indicates that his religion is Islam, which is Muslim. So how do they get away with that? So even if he was a citizen, he gave up that. People then raise a question to me, well, how can a minor have his citizenship given up, you know, even if he was a citizen of the United States? I say, well, that's the law. And the thing is, between the ages of 18 and 21, he could have denounced his citizenship in Indonesia and reaffirmed his citizenship in the United States if he had any. But there's nothing saying he did that. Yeah. We believe at age 10, when he went back to Hawaii to live with his grandparents, that he used an Indonesia passport. And that follows up because at age 20, what does he do? See, a lot of the stuff he can't get away from because he put it in his books, which I don't think he wrote, but whoever wrote them. And it's at age 20, we know that he went to Pakistan. Well, citizens of the United States were forbidden to go to Pakistan at that time, which was 1980. But how did he go there? Before he went to Indonesia, what did he do? Before he went to Pakistan, what did he do? He stopped in Indonesia. Yeah. Why did he stop there? I'm pretty sure he stopped there to renew his passport. Before everything got clamped down, someone did a Freedom of Information request, a FOIA request, to see Obama's passport. And it came, before he sealed records, it came back, there's no such passport for Barack Obama. Well, it's been 4 years, Phil. I mean, it's been 4 whole years
I mean, this guy, there's been numerous birth certificates. I mean, there's a birth certificate, then there's not a birth certificate, then there's the Photoshop version of the birth certificate. I mean, how many of these documents are there?
Well, but they're all fraud. I mean, the latest thing is, if we remember back about a year and a half ago, on April 27th, 2011, Obama comes out, this is when Trump was after him. Obama comes out into the press room at the White House, says, here's my birth certificate. It was the latest false birth certificate. Experts around the world have all said there's more holes. My line is there's more holes in that than Swiss cheese. but experts around the world have all said that was a phony. But the media hasn't gone after him. I think this would be a perfect time for the Republicans to go after him. But in a way, they don't want to get involved in the issue. But it looks like Romney's pulling ahead. I think Romney's going to win, but my efforts will continue. I believe everyone around Obama, and I'm talking his wife, I'm talking his campaign staff, I'm talking Howard Dean, I'm talking, who was the head of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you for bringing up the date that I filed suit August in 2008. We sued Obama and we sued the Democratic National Committee.
Right.
And why did I sue both of them? I thought, wrongly, I thought if we had a true, honest political party here that...
Well, being the good Democrat that you are, Phil, you thought that, you know, that there might be some justice on the Democratic Party, but are they conspiring this information knowingly?
Well, I think what happened is I expected them to call Obama in the room and tell Obama that, listen, you know, if you're not natural born, you're not even getting nominated. But obviously what happened, I didn't hear from the DNC. About a month later, when they had to file some kind of papers in federal court, it was a joint paper between the Democratic National Committee and Obama. So I knew at that point it was a fraud. They were in bed together. Howard Dean just sent the whole thing in a spin, which just showed they're going to fight us all the way. And we have fighted. I filed over the years, one recently this year, 5 lawsuits against Obama, because I know he's, and you use the word, he's a fraud, he's a phony. I also had, very interesting for your listeners, many know, or remind some and new for other listeners, I filed 4 applications for injunctions again to the United States Supreme Court, and they would not deal with each one. I tried to delay the election.
Well, exactly. But Phil, what are some of the charges? What's the main charge you would want to bring him up on right now?
Main charge is he's a fraud. He's a phony. I mean, he also, think back, there's many people who remember him from going to school in California at Occidental. They remember calling him Barry. I think his legal name today is Barry Soturo. You can use an alias, but not for fraudulent purposes. And he's using it for fraudulent purposes. I mean, there's so many charges that could go. But the biggest thing is he has no right to be a president because he's not natural born. Now, let me back up on that for a minute. For your listeners out there, if you have husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the relationship, and both are U.S. citizens traveling any place in the world, and if they have a child any place in the world outside of the United States, when that child comes back through immigration, that child is considered natural born, okay?
Right.
But in the case of when only one parent is a U.S. citizen, you have to go by the law in effect at that time. Well, the law in effect in 1961, and it's set by Congress, it's set by the Senate, okay, stated that if only one parent is a U.S. citizen, to convey natural-born status, that parent would have lived in the United States for 10 straight years. His mother did. However, there's another requirement that 5 of those years had to be after the age of 14. 14 and 5 is 19. She was only 18, so she could not have conveyed natural-born citizenship when he was born in Africa. Some people say, oh, that's a technicality. It's not a technicality. It's the law. Like right now, I think the law is 15 plus 2 years. But Congress sets that law. The law was there, and he violated it. But more important, he knows he's a fraud. When you ever see Obama or Michelle Obama laughing, you know who they're laughing at? They're laughing at the over 300 million people in this country because they know they're a fraud. They know it's funny.
Well, sure.
They're using this. I mean, last year, were you one of her good friends that she took about 40 friends over to Europe for a little vacation.
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah,
and spend millions of dollars. Well, because they're taking advantage, and right now there's word that if he loses, they're buying him an $8 million estate out.
Well, Phil, what are some of the cover-ups? Just to interject, Phil, what are some of the types of cover-ups that have occurred since the probe into the investigation for the birth certificate?
Well, there's been so many lawsuits. The big thing is the courts have stated, basically, we were the first one, and the other suits have followed suit, that we don't have standing to bring an action, which is absurd because everyone in this country should have standing because we're all affected by the president. The big cover-up is where he was born. I mean, that could be straightened out very easily. If any court would grant us discovery, Obama would be out of office in 1 week because he couldn't withstand that. I've said to Obama, prove me wrong. Show me wrong, and I'll withdraw my lawsuits, and I'll go away. He never did that because he can't do that. One of my cases was I said he was a fraud when he was a U.S. senator, and we had this action we brought. We said, see, U.S. senator, you don't have to be, excuse me, you don't have to be a citizen you don't have to be natural born. But he's fraud because of the information he's given. Where did he come from? I mean, think about this. All of a sudden, he's 2 years Occidental. Then he goes to Columbia University in New York. Someone taking the exact same program that he supposedly took with the pre-law and everything else would have been sitting next to him, doesn't remember ever seeing Obama, meeting Obama, or never seeing him in any class. It just doesn't make sense. Then he goes to Harvard. He becomes head of the law review, but he never wrote an article. I mean, yeah, you know, it's just, if you look at it.
Well, what amazes me, Phil, is that just the sheer push for this guy to get into office in 2007. You go back to 2007 and how the media just worshipped him and flooded in for this guy to get in office. It seemed to me, it's just surreal to me. How the push for him and who's always a savior and all of this, you know, to bring him in, but we just haven't heard a whole lot about the birth certificate in the last few years, and I don't know why the Republican Party's not bringing this up as this is a non-issue for Republicans right now as he's going in to vote as we're going to November this year. It fathers me. I can't believe it.
This would be a perfect time for the Republicans to bring it up because by exposing him right now, he would go down the drain. It wouldn't give the party time enough to even substitute a candidate. Even if they could, I think the Democratic Party would be so destroyed by this. So it's a perfect time now for someone to come forth. You can give me your name or not. Send me the documentation, which proves that I'm right. And I'm not trying to say I'm right. There's many other lawyers and other individuals have pushed this. Alex did a great job on this thing for the past 4 years. But he's a fraud. Sure. Bring forth the information to me, Phil Berg, and get me, as you stated, on ObamaCrimes.com. That's ObamaCrimes.com. ObamaCrimes.com.
ObamaCrimes.com, folks. Be sure to check out the work of Phil. Support him if you can. ObamaCrimes.com. Now, I want to throw out the phone number there, Phil, because I'd like to take some calls, see what folks think of this. It's a controversial issue because, I mean, we've had you on before on this program. I've even interviewed you once before on some of my previous radio programs. If you'd like to chime in on this, again, the number to call in tonight is 877-789-2539, 877-789-ALEX. If you'd like to call in, and what do you think of this? What do you make of it yourself? If you're listening in, give us a call. We'd like to get your thoughts on this. And then I got to ask you too on this, Phil. Have you seen this Joel Gilbert film? We sell this film in our store. It's called Dreams of My Real Father. What are your thoughts on this whole Frank Marshall Davis issue as the real father and the CIA connection to his supposed father-in-law or father? What is Philip J. Berg's thoughts on this whole Joel Gilbert slant on this Dreams of My Real Father? Because that's something I'm curious. I've heard your sides for impeachment and your side on this, but what is Phil Berg's thought of this Joel Gilbert's film? I'm sure you're familiar with it, Dreams of My Real Father.
Yeah, I am, and I'm not. I'm not sure. The thing is, I've tried to stay straight on the fact that everything about him is a phony, and to start going off to someone else being his father. I don't think we have to go that way, but
Sure.
I respect any way people are pushing. I haven't seen yet, but the movie 2016, they're telling me, has a lot of exposure around the country. Anything that can open the door on Obama to show what he truly is. He truly is a phony. He's a fraud. And the biggest thing is this is the biggest hoax against the United States of America in our history. So listeners out there, wake up. Tell your friends to, go to my website. You can read everything about this, every pleading, everything's there, because I know that he is a fraud. I mean, I could do anything on that. And people say, well, how can you say that against the president? Well, he doesn't belong as the president. He shouldn't be there. People say are you concerned about your safety? And I say no, because the biggest reason I'll tell you why I'm not worried about my safety is because if something would happen to me, it would take this story from the back page to the front page. And I think that's why they've left me alone. I think the big reason this is going on, there's people like George Soros and other money people in this country that control the press. Unfortunately, we don't have a free press. I laughed when Richard Nixon was talking, either Richard Nixon or George Bush, I'm sorry, one of them was talking about the free press. I think it was George Bush, talking about the free press in Russia, questioning the free press in Russia. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, question the free press in this country, because there's no free press here. That's why it's so important to work on this money bomb so that Alex can continue his efforts to spread the news, the real news around the world. I mean, look what's going on right now regarding this thing with Libya. Our ambassador was killed. He was murdered. And the administration was playing patsy with all of us by denying it, by sending Ms. Rights, the ambassador to the United Nations, on every talk show on that coming Sunday. And what happened there? Now they're trying to double talk that he said it the next day in the Rose Garden.
Well, that's what we're getting these days now. Is it's the mainstream media in this country is the old Soviet Union Pravda. We've taken lessons from the Russians and the propaganda machine of the Cold War, and it seems that the United States is now learned from Goebbels and the Germans and the Russians, and now that's why it's important, guys, to get involved with this money bomb. 2 days to wake up the world. InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com. Support the InfoWars, support Alex Jones, support this network so that we can do these types of things and bring this information to you. Who else is going to have Philip J. Berg on, guys? Who else is going to put this type of information on for you to learn about this? Because obviously the Republican Party's not even taking this. This is a non-issue, Phil. Why are the Republicans not talking about this? I can't believe it.
I can't either. I mean, I think it would put the issue over the top. I think it would definitely make Romney run away with it. We can't. If Obama's in for a second term, we're in a real trouble in this country.
Well, sure we are, and you call lesser of the two evils, but I mean, Romney. I'm not even a fan of Romney, but the point is that we don't have a birth certificate issue with Romney. Okay, now Romney's Mormon, fine. Mormons, but I mean, I don't know. I can't believe that the political party hasn't taken advantage of this. You want to call in and chime in on this with us tonight? Again, the number is 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. If you'd like to maybe open up the phone lines, maybe we can get call in and chime in on this. What has been your biggest obstacle, Phil, on raising money for this issue?
Well, two things. First off, please, anyone, call in. I will answer any question at any time. I will not duck the issue. I'll speak about it. The biggest problem is the courts have said we don't have standing. And like I say, I filed suit here in the Eastern Federal Court in Philadelphia. I filed a lawsuit in the federal court in Washington, D.C. I have filed in the state court system in Pennsylvania. I've tried and tried and tried. The courts can say we don't have standing, which is, think about it, ladies and gentlemen, it's outrageous. We don't have standing. They say we're not injured. We're all injured by someone who's a fraud. And you know what? We're the laughing stock of the world because people around the world all know that he was born in Kenya. I mean, this is like a joke, and it's a sad joke. You know, and think about the things he did when he first got into office. He went around the world apologizing for the United States of America. What other president did that? Nobody. He bowed down to the Saudi king. He bowed down to the Emperor of Japan. He bowed down to the leader of China. What other president has done that?
Well, it's because he's Muslim.
Absolutely. He is.
He's Muslim is what he is. Let's go to Kim in Georgia and get your phone calls in here. Let's get a couple of calls in. Kim in Georgia, you're on the air with Philip J. Berg.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. Been listening for a while, listening on my iPhone app. Contributed MoneyBomb. Member of Prison Planet TV. My question is for Phil. What about the fact that these walking all over the U.S. code by holding a seat in the UN Security Council? Does that count for anything?
What was the first part? Walking all over? What did you say? I'm sorry.
Isn't there something in the U.S. code about the president can't not hold more than one seat at the same time? I mean, he's sitting on in the chair of the UN Security Council. Does that not count?
Absolutely. I mean, but see, the thing is with Obama, he doesn't care about the Constitution. He doesn't care about anything. He just does what he wants. I mean, that's one great position, what you're stating. That's illegal, what he did there. There's just so many things that he has done by legislation. If it doesn't pass, he has another executive order. He's got more, I'm trying to think the right word, his people at the White House that are not confirmed. Russell, you'll come up with that for me.
Let's go to another caller in Hawaii. I can't make up the name there. Tiffany, is that right? Infinite in Hawaii. Let's see, the home place of Obama.
Yes, and that's what I'm calling, exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's born in Kenya or not. Really, Hawaii is a sovereign state, and it's illegally occupied. And if you go look at the international laws, actually we have, in the University of Hawaii system, we have a bunch of people actually pursuing this, but yeah, so forget about Kenya. I mean, let him say he's born in Hawaii. It doesn't matter. It's still illegal.
So you believe he's not born in Hawaii?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm saying let him say it. I mean, you could say he's born in Hawaii, but Hawaii is illegally occupied by America right now.
Okay,
and news is coming out about that.
Do you have a question for Phil Berg?
Yes, Phil Berg. Look it up. Look up HawaiianKingdom.org. Check out the videos. Check out Keanu Sai and his dissertation. And, become aware of what the truth is about the sovereignty of this state. Because if Obama is born in Hawaii, and this is the case, and these facts are right, and then he is a natural born. He cannot be president.
Great point. I will check that. And you're calling from Hawaii, and you're saying he's basically doesn't belong in office. And I appreciate your comments here. I'll check out the HawaiianKingdom.com. But everyone out there around the world, whatever thoughts you have, if you can't get through on a phone call tonight, send it to our website. ObamaCrimes.com. We'll be glad to look into it, because I will do everything in my power. Hopefully he'll be defeated, and I will still go after him, because everything he's passed is illegal. Everything he's done is illegal. And what kind of example are we setting for our children and our grandchildren in this country to have a fraud in there as president? So a great issue. I appreciate your...
Exactly. Alfred in California. Let's go to Alfred in California. You're on the air.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
How you doing, Alfred?
Good. And, well, I actually had two-part question. The first part is, recently I've been talking with my girlfriend and stuff, and she has arguing one part of her side of saying that she's actually learning part, and I actually remember part of it, that you actually learn in school that if you're born, if you're an immigrant from a different state and you're here for so long, you can actually be president. Can you go in clarification with that?
Well, you can. I mean, it depends the law in existence at that time for someone. Now, if an immigrant comes in and both parents were not U.S. citizens, you can't be qualified to be president of the United States. It's just the law is set out. Like I said, if both parents are U.S. citizens and the child is born any place in the world, and the child comes back, that child can be natural born. When an individual comes in here who's doesn't meet that, they can become naturalized but not natural born, and they cannot be president. You said you had a second. You said you had a second question.
Why is that?
You said you had a second question.
Your second point, Alfred?
Second point is, how is Obama getting away with defraudulizing this Constitution and what our forefathers set for us? Like, how is it possible that he can do so much tyranny to us and get away with all of this and set laws, and people are not standing up and fighting for it?
Thanks for your call. Thanks for your call, Alfred. Phil?
Alfred, great point, because the national media has never vetted Obama. They decided they wanted to have a black individual here. And like I say, I'm open-minded. I'm not prejudiced. But they decided that. And we don't have a free press in this country. And they didn't vet it. And then there's no checks and balances in our legal system to say a person running for president must show documentation. And I think it's outrageous. But see, we've never had a person like this because, like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger, before his current problems, people kept asking him to run for president. And what did he constantly say?
I don't want to run for president, Phil. I don't want to be the president. I just want to love Maria.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And that's the difference here. We have someone who honors our system, and we have someone who's illegal or fraud. And what kind of example is he to everyone in this country? Because if he really was legit, then upon the first lawsuit, he should have produced documentation. He should have said, hey, Phil, hey, Mr. Berg, I'm going to send you with our lawyers, give you permission to go to Hawaii to open up and look at the original records. He never did that. He's fought it and fought it and fought it. Why has he fought the issue? Because he's a fraud.
Well, look, and he fought for the long form birth certificate, spent millions of dollars of taxpayers' dollars to defend against showing it in April of 2011, and where he released what he claims was his real birth certificate then. But the question is, what was he releasing? Was it genuine or fake? Does it seem to be fake? InfoWars staff looked at this stuff back then, and you look at it under Photoshop or Illustrator, Phil, and it's got all these, wishy-washy stuff. I mean, I'm no expert in Photoshop, but I know the program. I run the graphics department here for the magazine. And I'm telling you, if you look at these birth certificates, there's Photoshop stuff in there, Phil.
Right, and how about the birth certificate that came out? I can't think of the gentleman that brought it forth, but he said he was over in Kenya, and he brought it back with the footprint of the president supposedly on it. I'm sure you've seen that birth certificate. Well, I was in a cab in Florida with that individual sitting next to me, and he showed me, and he swore that was his birth certificate. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I really don't believe it, but I'll believe it if you can show me that your papers, the documentation that you were actually in Mombasa, Kenya, show me your passport, show me your airfare, your hotel, and everything else, and then I'll believe it, because then you would show me that at the time you got this document, you were there. Do you think he ever sent that information to me?
Of course not.
Then we found out after the fact that he had previously been convicted of forgery. So, a great guy that we had to come up with phony information.
Robert in Washington. Where were you born, Robert?
Born in San Diego, California.
Hallelujah. You were born in San Diego? No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were born in Kenya. You were born in Kenya.
That's right, Kenya. No, I was a Navy brat. My dad was in the Navy. He is in law enforcement, and so am I here in the state of Washington. He's about to retire, and we have been consistently trying to inform our coworkers about the state of where things are at right now politically. And yes, I mean, everybody's tuning into the bandwagon that yeah, Obama is not from the United States. It took me a while to get my father convinced, but after showing him the films and all the documentation, I mean, it raises eyebrows. And a lot of us are waking up here in the state of Washington to it. My sister's, she attends Washington State University, and she's been waking people up. I got her on this InfoWars stuff here about 6 months ago, and people have been waking up. So people in the state of Washington are really, really going for it, and they're starting to put their foot forward.
Well, we're glad to hear that, Robert, and you know, thanks for the kind words. And we've got some interest from folks in the Washington area that are interested in a franchise for InfoWars magazine as well. So, you have a question for Phil?
I do. If Obama is put back in the office, I mean, what do you think is going to be the actual? I mean, Obama's already triggered a lot, and he's already raised a lot of eyebrows based on what he's talked about, and especially in the debates. What do you think is going to be the main thing that will open up a lot of people's eyes as far as for them to even really start doing something about it? Because at this point, it really seems that people know about the things that he's doing, but what exactly do you think it's going to trigger the people to get the attention that Obama? I mean, is that making sense? Yeah.
Thanks for your call, Robert. What's really going to take to wake people up, Phil?
I don't know what more, because the things that he has done detrimental to this country are so outrageous. You know, the biggest factor, I mean, just touching the Obamacare is a nightmare. Gas prices were, what, $1.89 when he took office, and now they're $4. And out there where you are, Robert, you're Washington State, the person before was San Diego. Out in California, it's like $5 a gallon for gas. There's so many other things. You know, he takes credit for more drilling here in the United States, but he didn't do it. He's cut off drilling. He is doing everything to make this country like it's not what it is. He's trying to make this country like in Europe, to the detriment of all of us. You know, like he's trying to redistribute the wealth. He's trying to do things so adverse to each one of us. And unfortunately, people have not waken up enough to say, I'm going to stop this, because what he's doing is, inch by inch, he's taking away our rights. And that's very scary. I mean, even right now, there's word that keeps coming up that Hillary Clinton's going to go into this arms deal and sign some arms thing with the United Nations.
Exactly. It's about taking away your rights. It's about you know, getting you off your rocker. Let's go to. I'm going to go real quick to James in Florida. What do you think, James? You were born in Malaysia, right, James?
I was born in New York, but I just have a question for Phil.
Sure. Go ahead, James.
I was wondering, what's your opinion on the Zionist control over the U.S. media?
Well, I don't know. You know, someone's controlling it. I'm not sure if the Zionists. I don't think they really are. But you have people like George Soros, which is, I mean, the media now in this country is owned by 3 or 4 individuals that are behind it, and I think that hurts all of us. We should insist on a free press. It's a laughing. It's a joke when they don't question Obama about anything versus the Constitution. So I'm not sure who's controlling it, but it's controlled press, and it's to the detriment of most of the citizens of this country, and we better wake up before it's too late.
Well, I mean, if you look into it, they all are Zionists. The information's out there.
Well, I can tell you who's not free press. We are not. We are independent media right here at InfoWars. The InfoWars Money Bomb. Let's take a quick break, real quick, and we'll come back. I want to thank Phil Berg. Phil, let's go take a real quick break here. I want to take a minute here, and then I want to thank you for staying up with us. And again, reiterate to the listeners, the InfoWars MoneyBomb.com. Be sure to check out the site. If you can't donate $25 or $50, guys, buy some magazines. Hell, buy this shirt. It's signed by Alex. There you go. There's the boogeyman right there from Malaysia. Hawaii. Anyway, we'll be right back. InfoWars Money Bomb. Our guest, Philip J. Berg, on the other side. We'll be right back. All right, we are back with our guest, Philip J. Berg, from the website ObamaCrimes.com. And we are talking about Obama and this whole birth certificate issue. I cannot believe the Republicans are not using this as a talking point, Phil. If you were a Republican, wouldn't you be burning him at the stake with this?
Absolutely, absolutely. But every time the Democrats make it up like, oh, it's the birther movement, and they're after. You know, I'm considered, I think, the father of the birthers. I don't care what title you put me on here, but let's just get to the truth. I mean, if one of these papers, the major papers in this country, the New York Times, Washington Post, would just ask the questions, but they won't. And now, like, there's two in bed with Obama. If he keeps going down in the polls, maybe they will come up with it. But as I stated, it's a guarantee for Obama to lose if we can expose Obama. And we still have 3 weeks left to do that. So make sure you contribute to MoneyBomb. If you can send us some money also at ObamaCrimes.com, we would put up a reward. Someone out there, if you're a multi-millionaire, which I know there's many people, and I'm sure they listen to Alex, if you can put up the money, it won't cost you a penny until we get the right information. I'd like to see $2 million reward to put up there to expose Obama. And someone out there that is contributing I think Romney raised like $190 million last month. I mean, so much money is being raised and spent and wasted. This thing is, you won't have to spend the money. We just have to post it through a bank. And once the information's up there, then you'd have to pay the money. But it would do this country justice because we deserve it, ladies and gentlemen. We deserve the truth. And the truth is, Obama and Michelle Obama and everyone around him from the early campaign and everyone around him now in the White House, they know he's a fraud. They know he's a phony. Everyone should be not just put in jail because that's not our system. Our system is everyone around him should be indicted, should be tried in our court systems, and anyone convicted should go to jail.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, Phil? Is Obama being set up to fail, in your opinion?
No, I don't think so, because if so, the money people would switch to someone else. The reason, like, they're talking about buying this $8 million or $5 million property in Hawaii for Obama is because he has given millions of dollars to his, quote, friends. He's appointed to people. He's given deals like that we don't even know all these deals. Look at the money he's put out there, which have gone down the drain on these heat shields. Obama has paid off his friends. And I assure you, if he loses between November and January 20th, he'll be also paying off in so many ways because he has time there and he'll do it. He's scary, everyone. He's frightening. You got to stop him. Help me expose Obama, and we can do it in the next 3 weeks.
ObamaCrimes.com, our guest Philip J. Berg. It just seems to me like, though, Phil, that there's a lot of talking points on mainstream Cinderella media, where they are trying to make Obama out to be this perfect fall guy to set up some type of a civil unrest or cause race wars or race riots. Or what are your thoughts on this? Does that make sense, or are I'm really missing the ball here. It's just that, hey, you got to be a U.S. citizen to be president. That's what it's really about.
That's it, and I hope, ladies and gentlemen out there, people, if he loses, please, we don't need race riots in this country. I mean, I think Obama's presidency has hurt the blacks in this country, which might take forever to recover. But please, if he loses, we don't need anything here. It comes down to the fact that one individual, one member of the black community, Obama, has lied to all of us in this country. So there's no reason for race riot.
That's right.
Like I say, I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP. I'm for fair, I'm for freedom.
You're a Democrat, you're a lifetime member of the NAACP. This is not what we need anyway. It's about the Constitution, and it's about being a United States citizen, and it's about action. And it's about time, after 4 years, that we look for the real answers on this birth certificate. Final thoughts, Phil Berg.
Pleasure to be on you. Give my best to Alex Jones, everyone. Russell, it's great to be on with you. Everyone contribute to MoneyBomb. It's really essential to keep Alex Jones, to get the word out. And if you can also, don't give to me rather than him. Match it. Give me the same thing, ObamaCrimes.com. And if someone out there has the $2 million to post, I'll get a reward out there so fast, and they'll cover it. And someone out there who has the information will produce it, and then we'll get Obama where he belongs, in jail, not in the White House.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Phil Berg, ObamaCrimes.com. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, there he goes, Phil Berg from Obama Crimes. Guys, if you come to InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com, give us $5. Don't forget about Phil. He's got a great campaign. You know, God, if there's some wealthy philanthropist out there, you know, support us with a big donation, but make a donation to Phil too. I think it's a great idea what he's doing. Why that hasn't been used as fuel in the fire for the Republican Party, I have no idea. Anyway, I'm Russell, the general manager for InfoWars Magazine. Stick around, more InfoWars Money Bomb coming your way. Up next, Dan Badandi, gonna have 3 hours. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's drinking lots of coffee. Dan Badandi, InfoWars Money Bomb. I'm Russell. We'll see you next time. We got 36 more hours of this stuff. Stick around, InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com.
And welcome to the Alex Jones Show on Graveyard Shift. And I'm Dan Badandi. I'm going to be joining you for the next 3 hours. And we got a jam-packed show for you folks. We're going to cover news first, and we got a special guest. And about a half hour from now, his name is William Schnoebelen. And before you get into that, folks, again, we're going to cover the news. We're going to take your phone calls before our guest. And we're going to open the phone lines if you want to ask our guest a question. And about 4 o'clock, which is 2 hours from now, we're going to be joined by Rich Anatone. He's going to be co-hosting with me for the final hour. We're going to be talking about news that happened during the week. And we're going to cover a lot of highlight news, articles and everything else that happened over the course of the last week. And William Schnoebelen, he's former Illuminati, folks. And a lot of people out there keep bugging Alex. How come you don't talk about the New World Order? How come you don't, which he does? How come you don't talk about the Illuminati, which he does? But we're going to get into deep depth about the Illuminati. And also, we're going to get into deep depth about the real origins of Halloween. This is a grotesque holiday, folks. And after you hear this, you're not going to take your kids out trick-or-treating. It is that vile, that diabolical, that disgusting. And we're going to get into some news first. And folks, again, this is a very sensitive subject. I mean, the Illuminati, people think, oh, it's just a conspiracy. They ceased in 1790. No, folks, they did not. I could be here for the next 6 hours telling you that the Illuminati does exist. And I got proof. I mean, I'm an Illuminati historian. And what's better than me is William Schnoebelen. William Schnoebelen with oneaccord.org. That's his website. With oneaccord, O-N-E accord.org. And it's going to be a great show, folks. And we're going to get to the top priorities of the Illuminati and also Halloween and everything else. But first, let's cover some U.S. news. And people, if you want to call up and chime in, we're going to open the phone lines up and we're going to just cover some news that happened during the course of the week. And I'm really angry, folks. I really am. And I hate to start the show off like this. I really do. And I'm just so fired up right now because I sit back there and I produce Alex's show. I pull up the articles for him and all that. And I have to read all this stuff. And I'm sitting there back there just getting angry. You know, just seeing all this stuff, my country going to hell in the handbasket. Bottom line, going to hell in the handbasket. And I just got to take a deep breath because folks, covering this stuff all day and night, it just gets to you. And if I didn't have a strong spiritual faith in God, and, you know, if I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be. But it is so grotesque every day when you pull up the articles. Hundreds of articles, folks. Not just a few, hundreds. And I'm speaking because I'm one of the producers here that pull up the articles for Alex. And that's why Alex has got stacks of news all over his desk, folks. Stacks. And I got a few stacks here, but I mean, I'm probably never going to touch half of this because the tyranny is so bad in this country, folks. And this is why, right here, right now, folks, this is why we need this money bomb. And we're not begging you for money. We're not one of those false prophets from the 700 Club, the Billy Grahams, the Pat Robinsons. Oh, we need your money. Satan's going to put a curse on me. No, folks, we're not like that. We're not mainstream media. We don't get bailouts by corporate interest groups. We don't get bailouts by world bankers. We don't get bailouts by anybody. The only people that give us money is you folks out there who fund the operation. You support us, we're buying our products and everything else, and we're just asking for a donation. I mean, like Alex said earlier, I mean, if you can't afford it, no problem. Spread the word. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com.tv, $5.95. You get to watch the Alex Jones Show live on prisonplanet.tv, and you get 5 passwords besides yours to give out to friends and family. And that's a great Christmas gift right there. And we need your support, folks. It is, I mean, the operation is so expensive. I mean, just to send a reporter, we're in Texas here, just to send a reporter out to California and the camera crew and all that just to cover a story, it costs thousands. It's not cheap, folks. And people, you know, oh, why do you guys want our money? Okay, we're not asking you to, you know, we're not begging. We're asking you if you want to give, please do. I mean, we're up to $108,000 right now, and folks, that might sound like a lot to you, but it's not. $108,000 will probably keep this the lights on in the place here for like a month or two, maybe, and that's not counting the salaries and everything else for the reporters and everything else. So we're begging you, folks, okay, you know, in a liberty way, to say, hey, we need your funding. This is a grassroots operation. We wouldn't be here. This studio wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like you out there buying our magazines, buying our books, our DVDs, our T-shirts, especially this T-shirt here. I think it's my favorite T-shirt, InfoWarsShop.com, and it comes with the hat and everything else. Great stuff. And also, if you're interested in learning about the Illuminati, we got a great book here. It's on InfoWarsShop.com by Fritz Springmeier. It's Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I mean, he goes to all the bloodlines. It's crazy stuff, folks. I mean, with Rothschild, all the big banker families and everything have to, you know, what it has to do with the Illuminati. And well, let's get into some news, and we're going to open the phone lines up. So anybody wants to chime in, or if you want to wait, it's up to you. You can talk to the guest later. I'll call back again. But one story that touched me today, you know, this week, the FBI entraps witless Patsy in Federal Reserve bombing plot. Again, another FBI setup, folks. How many times, folks, has there been bomb plots, terror attacks, and always has to do the FBI has their hands in the mix? All the time. The Christmas tree bomber, the FBI gave him the car bomb. This is on record. I mean, look what happened, the bombing scare in Times Square a couple years ago after that South Park episode about Muhammad. The FBI gave them the car with the bomb in it. It's all set up propaganda, folks. It's called false flag terrorism. We got them. This is on record. They got out of military manuals on this. We're going to show in a few minutes, tons of it. And yeah, from New York Post, terrorist attempts to blow up Federal Reserve Bank. And the FBI is admitting, yes, we gave him the car bomb. You know, we coached him. You know, we coached the guy to put a 1,000-pound bomb at the Federal Reserve. You know, this, and people, I mean, if you can't read through the lines, how many times do we have to see this? And the FBI comes in, oh, yes, we were involved. We were involved with it. Of course they were. And we got earthquake disaster drill makes FEMA's martial law agenda. Now, before we get into this, I want to tell a story. When I was flying down here from Rhode Island, I stopped in BWI Airport for a layover, and my flight was delayed. So I'm sitting there, and one of the guys was talking, you know, some guy was talking next to me on his phone. I heard him mention Janet Napolitano, blah, 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 Homeland Security, and he worked for it. So I'm like, all right, let me ask this guy some questions. So he gets off the phone. I'm like, hi, how you doing? It's like, I couldn't help overhearing you talk about Janet Napolitano and all that. He goes, yeah, I work for FEMA. I'm a grounds transportation coordinator for FEMA and Homeland Security. And he's in it, and I'm trying to test this guy out, see where he is. You know, if he, well, long story short, he learned that I was going to be a reporter for Alex Jones, whatever, and he's on the same page. He said he's been listening to Alex for God knows how long, and he's been working with FEMA and Homeland Security for about 15 years. And he wants to stay on the inside. But he told me right out, he goes, since we're on the same page here, he goes, there's going to be martial law coming soon. He told me this. He goes, the reason why I'm here in Washington, D.C., BWI, Baltimore, Washington International for, they called an emergency meeting. They called an emergency meeting for us to be here. He goes, now they don't tell me everything because I'm just a ground transportation coordinator. So what he did was, he opened his briefcase. Now, before he gets to that, he was explaining to me. They are going to pull the plug from martial law. They called a meeting this morning. We had to be in Washington ASAP. And so when he basically he was telling me this stuff, then he opens his briefcase and shows me documents. And he says for secret eyes, all that good stuff. And he said we got called because my job is to organize 10,000 Metro City buses. 10,000 that hold 65 people each, and that's regulations. You could fit about 100 people jam-packed in there, he said. But he said 20,000 Metro buses. That's a lot, folks. And for the entire East Coast, he goes, they have drills. They're going to evacuate the entire East Coast. And he goes, you're from Rhode Island. I'm like, yes. He goes, expect to have disaster drills in your area within the next couple of weeks. And sure enough, folks, sure enough, when I went back to Rhode Island, it hit the mainstream media, you know, the day it was happening. Oh, they're doing disaster drills, communications, earthquake, and right here, the article, earthquake disaster drills, mass FEMA's martial law agenda. It's right there, folks. And I was told about this weeks in advance. He told me there's going to be disaster drills for earthquakes and communications and all that in New England. And sure enough, folks, several cities in, around Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and all that, FEMA and the National Guards were conducting exercises. Well, disaster drills for earthquakes. And you ask, well, why would they do a disaster drill for earthquakes in New England? Because it's unheard of New England getting earthquakes. And sure enough, I think it was 2 nights ago, Maine got hit with a 4.9, I believe, earthquake. And the thing is, this guy told me from Homeland Security, he told me, okay, this stuff was coming. And it did. And we've been talking about the October surprise, the November, nobody knows what it is. I mean, it could be the whole presidential thing. It could be martial law. We don't know. But the thing is, I'm not trying to scare you folks, but this guy showed me, he laid out everything. And I asked him about the camps, the FEMA camps. Because I've been to where I seen one with my own eyes in Devens, Massachusetts. And if you go to Google, type in Fort Devon, Massachusetts, FMC. All right, that's one of them. Now, if you go southwest to a couple miles southwest, there's a giant camp there. I seen it with my own eyes, folks. A giant camp. They got the guard towers, everything's there, the trucks, but nobody's in there. And they were building another one a couple miles down the road. And he told me, he says, hold on a second. So he goes to his briefcase again, opens up, flips through the pages, and bam, there's a satellite view of the camp. And folks, you know, and you talk FEMA camps, folks, to people, oh, here we go with the conspiracies, even though they admit it right on record, the re-education camps, the internment camps, and hey, let me go this for a minute. I don't know if we got any phone calls coming in, but yeah, you got the phone lines open, and before we have Bill Schnoebelen on. But right here, folks, right from the horse's mouth, this is HR 645. The establishment of internment camps, FEMA camps here in America. Now, if you say this is a conspiracy, folks, this is right from Washington, D.C. HR 645, the establishment of internment camps here in America. Well, that's not it, though. So, you know, you still think this is a conspiracy. Here we go again. We got Army Regulations 210-35, the Civilian Inmate Labor Program. And this is a military document, and GoArmy.com, the National Guards, they were advertising for jobs for internment specialists to house American citizens and POWs, to say, but American citizens in these camps. And it's not that. I mean, we're not done yet. And you got Endgame from the Department of Homeland Security. This is official Endgame Office of Detention and Strategic Plan of 2003 to 2012, and note they have 2012 at the end. And, you know, with the Homeland Security guy telling me the stuff, and 2012 is the Endgame, folks. This is, you know, I mean, it was crazy because after Alex Jones created the Endgame documentary, which is one of the best he has, available on InfoWarsStore.com, this came out not too soon afterwards from Homeland Security. This is official Endgame report, folks. They want to put American citizens in these detention camps, put you to work, forced labor. This ain't no joke. I mean, look what they did to the Japanese citizens back in World War II. That, for example. I mean, we got more. I mean, look, internment and resettlement operations. This is FM Army Field Manual 3-39.40. Internment and resettlement operations. Army Field Manuals, folks. You want to get a document cam on that. Army Field Manuals, folks, saying that they're going to put you in internment camps, folks. This is not a joke. Well, it's just a conspiracy, according to the mainstream media. And Army Manual outlines plans to kill rioters and demonstrators in America. Oh, no, it's just a conspiracy. Yeah, you didn't hear that. Oh, you didn't build that either, you know. You didn't hear that, you didn't build that, you didn't see that. Keep your mouth shut. And, I mean, I got tons of, I got a stack right here, folks. A stack of bills and documents, and we got 3 calls. So let's take Keith from Massachusetts, my hometown, New England. How you doing, Keith?
I'm good. Been a one-time listener, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, thanks for calling.
And I've been debating on whether I've been trying to call for a long, long time, and nobody seemed to be answering me. But I'm finally on. So
well, I'm glad you finally got on, and thanks for listening for all this time. And just listening, I mean, what you're doing now, I mean, you're listening, spreading awareness. That's worth more than any money itself. And what's your question today, brother?
Well, I've been delving into the Illuminati a lot, and I've seen things even before they happened, like the World Trade Centers.
Yep.
On the back of the $20 bill.
Oh, there's more than that. I mean, like, you got the wingdings thing and everything.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it.
Exactly.
But I've been trying to tell people, too.
Well, you know what this is part of? Not every 9/11, every 11 years is a solar maximum. Now, this is, you know, I mean, this is a whole story altogether, but that's every 11 years they have to have this major ritual. This has been going on for thousands of years, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And my question is, why hasn't anybody done anything about it?
Well, the thing is, the mainstream media, they're the ones, they're the front line that keep everybody showing, you know, it's a conspiracy. I mean, you even mentioned anything about Building 7. Even though the whole world's seen Building 7 fall, it's a conspiracy. It's not in the official handbook. I mean, the 9/11 Commission report. I mean, like, they want you to be dumbed down, don't ask questions. I mean, they admitted they blew up Building 7. It's on record. You know, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and they blew up the World Trade Centers, too.
Unbelievable.
I know it was all a false flag.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and if you want to study more on the Illuminati, my next guest coming on, his website is, I'm sorry, let me get the website here.
I'll write it down.
With1accord.org. And if you Google on YouTube, William Schnoebelen, Exposing the Illuminati from Within, I mean, this guy is amazing. And he answers a lot of your questions you're talking about, too. And also Doc Marquise. These 2 people, they're not on the mainstream. You know, nobody even recognizes it.
Website again?
It's with1accord.org. It's WITHONEACORD.org. I mean, he's got some great books, too, and we're going to plug them when he gets on and everything. And if you want to call back to ask him a question, I mean, this guy was former Illuminati. I mean, you don't get any better than that, you know what I mean, talking about the Illuminati. So if you do want to call back, man, and ask William a question about an hour or so from now, you know, you're welcome to do so.
Oh, I will.
And what part of Mass you from?
I'm actually from Springfield, but I live in Fall River now.
Oh, okay. I used to live near Springfield for a few years. Oh, good. Well, thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
God bless you, brother.
Thanks for taking my call.
No problem. And we got Dalian from Alabama. Hey, how you doing, Dalian? Dalton, I'm sorry. The screen's hard to read over here. Dalton, are you there?
Yeah. How's it going, man?
Fine, how are you?
Good. Thanks for taking my call, man.
Oh, not a problem, man.
Well, I've got some kind of a question to shoot at you about something me and a friend of mine were talking about earlier in the night. It was about those earthquake drills and stuff.
Yep.
And he had said that he had heard a story about how that there was some kind of sinkhole in Louisiana, and there was some sort of explosion down there. And he thought that it may be like pretenses of trying to get some sort of fault line activity to, you know, to cause damage. So. Oh,
yeah, that sinkhole in Louisiana. Somebody emailed me pictures and something about that a couple days ago. I didn't get much time to do the research. But, yeah, he was also telling me about the explosions and all that. And I think that this is all part of this drill. And we know, they say, how do you drill an earthquake? How do you create an earthquake? We know through the weather modifications, HOP and all that, this is possible. I mean, it's proven and everything. But, yeah, So what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I haven't had enough time to really do a lot of research into it. So I just, I thought it was an interesting, take on that. And we all, anytime we see them do drills for something, we know that, it's a big possibility that they'll, have some sort of like false flag or something like that that's very similar to the drill. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. So, I mean, it was a legitimate concern I felt from the conversation.
Wow. Yeah, and have you noticed any military in the area conducting any drills?
I haven't up here. So
well, it'd be hard to notice because once in a while the mainstream media might cover it, they might say, oh, they're doing a little disaster drill, and they won't make a big issue about it. It'll be like the bottom of the newspaper, a little article, or on the TV, or side issue, or military's doing disaster drills, so nobody's like, yeah,
sure.
Whatever. So,
sure,
yeah.
And ever since Louisiana and Mississippi both have been hit with a lot of crazy weather in the past, decade, seeing a lot of military personnel, National Guard, that sort of thing, it's unfortunately, I think it's kind of a conditioning, and it's not as big of a deal as it once was since those events.
Yeah. And, you keep your eye out for that because, again, if you go on the internet, you'll find articles about it, you'll find little things about it, and go down and confront these people. Take your video camera, it's your First Amendment to do so, do it peacefully. Go down, videotape these people, ask them, what are you doing? They have to answer you. I got videos on YouTube, myself doing this. It's your civil duty to say, hey, I'm paying you, sorry, pal, what are you doing here? What are you planning? It's good keeping your eyes open, brother, and thanks for your call.
Absolutely. One more thing.
Yep.
I'd like to say that I'm a huge fan of Bill coming up, and I've been a fan of his from way back, and I'd just like to say any first-time listeners being exposed to him, don't be scared off by some of the crazier things that he talks about. I legitimately think that it's probably all true.
Oh, awesome. And if you want to call back, ask Bill a question. At the end of our segment, we're going to be taking phone calls, and you can ask Bill a question. So, yeah, definitely call back and tell the phone screener there that you want to talk to Bill, and you already called. All right, thanks for your call. And we're going to go to break in just about a minute. And when we come back, we're going to have William Schnoebelen, again, with oneaccord.org. I'm sorry. Remember that website for nothing to me. But with oneaccord.org, William Schnoebelen when we get back. And, folks, this is some serious news, folks. I'm not even done yet. We're going to cover the rest of the news after William Schnoebelen. But when we get back, folks, William Schnoebelen, and this is Dan Bidandi for Infowars.com. We are going fast sideshow with the tip of the spear. We're coming right through you, not at you, through you. And folks, keep it going, man. We got $108,000, folks, on the Infowars Money Bomb. Again, if you want to call to donate, 1-877-789-ALEX. That's 2539. And again, New World Order, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to stop us now. Because we're blasting through the tyranny. We're blasting through with liberty. Yeah! That's because we're the renegades, baby. We're the renegades against the New World Order, against the system, and we're taking you down. And, folks, we got William Schnoebelen about to join us in about 10 seconds from now. And first I want to discuss something when I said the top priorities of the Illuminati. And this is what they are at, folks. If you read the writings of Adam Weishaupt and everything else, one, they want the destruction of Christianity in all monarchical governments. And two, the destruction of nations such as favor and universal Unitarianism. And three, the discouragement of patriotic and loyal effort branded and narrow-minded prejudice incompatible with tenets of goodwill to all men and cry of universal brotherhood. And four, to abolish family ties and marriages by means of systematic corruption. And five, the suppression of the rights of inheritance and property. They want your private property. They want to abolish marriage. And folks, does this sound familiar? Agenda 21, United Nations, openly calling to abolish private property with the sustainability. Well, Melissa Melton, she's a great reporter on this stuff, and sustainability, Agenda 21. But without further ado, William Schnoebelen, former Illuminati, real Illuminati, folks, former Illuminati, former satanic priest, former Catholic priest, and former cultist, magician, and everything else. And William, how you doing, brother?
Doing real well. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you, man, and I'm happy to have you on because I noticed that you never get the respect you deserve. I mean, I know you're not out for all the glitz and glamour and all that stuff, but you need to be highlighted because I've been studying you for about 4 years now, all your work and everything. I learned a lot from you, a great deal, and you need to be on the spotlight because the world needs to hear your information.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No problem. And you want to tell us basically a brief history about yourself, a little introduction, besides when I gave you and everything else?
Well, basically, I started out life wanting to serve God. I was born and raised Catholic, went to the minor seminary. While I was studying to be a priest, I had a professor who was a Catholic priest, turned me onto the occult, believe it or not. And he told me that, the Lord was a priest, a magician, an occultist, and that if I wanted to be like, quote unquote, another Christ, I should also pursue the occult. Now, of course, that's utter nonsense, but I was only like 19 years old at the time. College-like, what would I know? And so I started doing that. And when I finally got out of the college, had my degree, I was a first-degree witch. And from there, I studied with the Druids. I was personally initiated by the Grand Master Druid of North America. This is all in the early 70s. Got involved with Freemasonry on his advice, that it would be a very Luciferian thing to do, and got involved in the Church of Satan, got involved in hardcore Satanism, and I think we need to talk a little bit more about some of these things, obviously.
Oh, definitely. You got the floor. I mean, whatever you want to bring up, because what you have to say is very important information. And, folks, he's got the certificates. If you go YouTube, Exposing the Illuminati from Within, he goes all over the country, does seminars. He's got the actual certificates to prove his worth. I mean, like, he's got one from the Church of Satan. It was signed by Anton LaVey. He's was a satanic priest. Thank God. Thank God you're on the good side now. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm just was saying, that during that time of getting into hardcore Satanism, I got an invitation to join the Illuminati. Which we can get into in greater detail if you're interested. But because people wonder, well, how do you get into the Illuminati? Obviously you can be born into it, but there are other considerations involved in my case. And partly it was because of all the Masonic involvement I had. I mean, I was involved in esoteric Freemasonry, which is continental Masonry from Europe, not just the stuff that people are familiar with here in America, but things like the Rite of Memphis Mizraim, the Rite of Grand Orient, and some of those things are very, very ungodly things. Well, anyhow, I'm going along like this, and ultimately, I was pretty deep in, even to the point of drinking human blood and being involved with vampirism and stuff like that. And a lady prayed for me. She saw a check that I'd written to the Church of Satan, my yearly dues, and she wrote on the back of the check, and she sent it back from the bank where the Church of Satan did its banking at that time. It was in San Francisco, and she said, "I'll be praying for you in the name of Jesus." And when she started praying for me, literally within a couple of days, my whole life fell apart. And I basically cried out to Lucifer because I thought he was the true God at that time. I cried out for a sign from him. And instead of, something wonderful happening from the standpoint of the dark side, the Almighty arranged for me to have a visit from two young girls who were Satanists all the way from Chicago, and they brought me Christian comic books about the dangers of the occult. I mean, that's the kind of awesome deity that we serve, that he was able to actually bring a witness in the form of two teenage Satanists. And they brought these comic books, and I basically kind of sneered at them and didn't really want to look at them, unfortunately. But in a way, I mean, I know all of this is from the Lord because the next day, Mormon missionaries showed up at our door. And that's going to be a part of what we're speaking about tonight, is the whole issue of Romney and the Mormon Church and how that ties into the Illuminati. But to be brief, right now, We had been told years earlier that if you want to really have the ultimate Luciferian experience, join the Mormon Church. That was the words of this high-level Druid guy. And so we joined the church and was involved for 5 years. I became an elder. I became an elders forum president. I taught for the church. I was a home teacher, obviously, which, is a kind of pastoral visitation program they have. And we went to the temple. And I went to the Salt Lake Temple, and that's a whole other line of discussion if you want to have it. But, Mormonism is not what it seems. And in my case, the Almighty used those 5 years of Mormonism to get me to the point where I was reading the Bible, where I knew I was a sinner. And in 1984, I finally realized that the world's greatest anti-Mormon book is the King James Bible, which ironically they use. That's their kind of official Bible. So anyway, I remembered those comic books and that there was something in the back about how to get born again. And so I knelt at the foot of my bed and took off my magic Mormon underwear because I didn't want any static on the line. And I prayed and asked the Lord Yeshua Jesus to be my master and my Lord. And that was on June 22nd, 1984. And I've never looked back.
Oh,
Hallelujah.
God bless, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing because, you can see in the Bible, too, all the prophets, disciples, they were murderers. They were into the occult themselves. They were pagans. They had a hard life, and they got transformed by God. People out there that don't believe in God, you know what? You need to get your priorities straight because this is real stuff. And regardless what you believe, folks, the people who run this planet, they're not atheists at all, folks. They are Illuminati, okay? They are Luciferian worshiping scum, bottom line. And go ahead, Bill.
Well, yes, that's absolutely true. And, the problem is that many people that are fighting this stuff, they think they can do that with physical weapons. And I remember many, many years ago, I'm sure some of your listeners and viewers are familiar with Lyndon LaRouche. And his organization asked me to give a talk for them, of all people, because they're kind of a sort of an odd political sect. And he had made the statement, this is probably in 1988 or 1990, that he was going to kill Satan. Lyndon LaRouche, was going to kill Satan and take over the world for the good guys. And I just kind of got up there, and as a minister of the gospel, I had to tell him, nobody's going to kill Satan except Yeshua.
Exactly.
And if you think you can come up against spiritual enemies with physical weapons, you're going to be in the position of, like Native Americans in a war canoe coming up against a battleship, because, it's a whole different level of warfare. And if
absolutely. It's a spiritual war. Like the Bible says in Ephesians, we don't wrestle against flesh, but powers of principality and darkness.
Absolutely. And that's where we need to be. Not that, there aren't practical things we can do down here on the earth plane too, but we need to be praying. We need to really be interceding for this nation. And if there's nothing else that comes out of this, that's what I want to say tonight, is that prayer is vital right now, because I think we're on a very important turning point. And I think that there's nothing that can be said that's more important than that.
Exactly. And, that's an incredible story, man. And I seen your seminars at the Prophecy Club. And if you guys want to plug his website, it's on a computer right there, right on number 8. And, again, with the oneaccord.org, you want to talk about those 3 books you got? Throne of Fools and definitely plug those books because there's important information in those books.
The one you're talking about earlier, it's actually a DVD. It's Throne of Fools, and it kind of discusses the fact that we've got, Obama versus Romney. Once again, the powers that be have set us up with one devil versus another devil. And the question becomes, then what do you do with something like that? And I try to provide some answers, from the standpoint of is one better than the other? Is it like choosing the lesser of two evils? And I think it's a very important message for right now, being that we're so close now to the election, and it looks as though Romney's pulling ahead. Another thing that we have talking about prayer is we have a book on spiritual warfare, Blood on the Doorposts, which, as many people have said, is one of the best books on how to do warfare against these dark forces and also how to be set free.
Well, that's very important. And, you know, the thing is, a lot of Christians lack this, folks. I mean, Christians are the regular churches. I mean, it's great to hear about Jesus, but, you know, if you go to a church and a year goes by, 2 years, you hear the same messages over and over and over. But they never get into spiritual warfare. I mean, especially the 501c3 churches, they don't want you to know none of this stuff. Spiritual warfare, folks, is the most important thing a Christian should be getting to and knowing. Because, again, we battle against powers of principalities and darkness, not against flesh. I mean, these people like the Rothschilds, Obama, Romney, these are just puppets. That's all they are. It's the evil above them that control them is what you got to battle.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And that's the problem, is that a lot of people don't understand that. They don't realize that basically you're looking at sock puppets up there in the media, whether they're media personalities or
smelling ones too.
Yes, unfortunately, that's often the case. So yeah, it's very critical. And the other thing, you know, of course, the book that probably made me famous is the book on Masonry here. This happens to be a first edition. The cover looks a little different now.
You want to hold it up a little higher?
Yeah, sorry. This is
there you go.
Masonry Beyond the Light. And it basically talks about why Masonry is dangerous for anybody, especially for Christians. And that virtually every day we get phone calls about families whose lives have been ruined because of a husband or a grandparent or something being involved in a Masonic lodge. And I was in it myself for 9 years. And I'll tell you, it is one of the most spiritually toxic, dangerous, diabolical organizations on this planet, because it's basically a feeding program for the Illuminati.
Oh, and if I'm correct here, the Blue Lodge is the first 3 degrees, and that's where they suck a lot of Christians in, and they have a Bible on the altar to say, oh yeah, we believe in higher power, you can believe in God, come on in, and they suck all kinds. Like we got a picture of Aleister Crowley up on screen with Candace Crowley. And these two look like, I think it's Aleister Crowley resurrected with a wig on. Yeah, if you ask me, but this girl's a witch. I mean, she really is. But if you can see on screen when you watch the replay, whatever, we got a picture of Aleister Crowley with devil's fangs on. I mean, it's great. But yeah, Aleister Crowley was a big part of this. But yeah, Masonry, they draw Christians in. They say they're a Christian organization, and they even pastors. How many pastors you know, Mr. Schnoebelen, that are Masons?
Well, it was said at one time, I don't know if this is still true, that 40% of the Southern Baptist Convention pastors are Freemasons. So when you consider that's the largest Protestant denomination in America, and it's not the only one, I don't mean to pick on them, but I think most of the mainline churches, you know, the Lutherans, Episcopalians, have an awful lot of Masons among their deacons and their pastors and their elders, and that's really bad, because you have a headship issue then. These people are the spiritual head of a flock, and, you know, nasty material flows downhill, and that's the problem. Is that they're defiling their flocks. They're like the idle shepherds that are being warned about in the prophetic writings of the Bible, you know, that do not take care of the sheep. And as a result, we have all of these issues on our hands, and why the church has basically lost a lot of its clout in America is because we're full of Norman Vincent Peale type pastors. And of course, Norman Vincent Peale was a 33rd degree Mason.
Unbelievable. And now a lot of Masons degree. Now, a lot of people don't know, like I said, about the ancient rite of Memphis Mizoram that goes up to the 99th degree. Am I correct on it?
Actually, there's 360 degrees in it.
Unbelievable. And you were a 90th degree? Is that right?
Yes. That's
unbelievable.
Correct. Yeah, well, I had a gentleman, well, I use the word advisedly, come all the way from France to bring me into the higher levels of esoteric Freemasonry. That was, of course, back in the 70s. But it's dangerous stuff, because the higher you get in Masonry, the more you see it's anti-Christian. Like the Grand Orient Rite is extremely anti-Christian. And the Masonry we see in America, it's kind of been cleaned up a little on the outside. But actually, it's just as bad. It's just got a better public relations arm in America.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Masonry again. I mean, they promise light, but provide darkness. That was John Quincy Adams, I believe, when he, the sixth president of the United States, when he quoted about Freemasonry. You know, he says, Freemasonry promises light is darkness. And I think that's the exact quote. I'm not sure. But, you know, even our founding fathers, some of them try to warn us about Masonry. And, you know, it's destructive. It really is.
Well, yes, because it's kind of become our civil religion. And like I was involved in the production of a video, The Secret Mysteries of America's Beginnings and the New Atlantis, and we document in that series, you know, how even though everybody says, oh, America's a Christian nation, well, if it is, then why are all of the buildings in our nation's capital full of pagan symbols?
And by the way, we got that set, I think on InfoWarsStore.com, that whole set, America's Secret Beginnings, and I watched them all, and I watched them 3 times actually, and a lot of information. You, Doc Marquise, I mean, you guys are great. I mean, especially exposing secret stuff, especially the architecture. You know, I mean, like if anybody sees that, you know, you got Rome, you know, the Vatican, you got Washington D.C. and Paris, France. There is nothing godly about that. I mean, you got obelisks for Osiris. I mean, like you got you know, they're built under the star, the sign of the 3 stars and the 7 stars. It's some Masonic stuff. The blazing dog star. I mean, it's all architecture built to promote the coming of the New Age, the coming of the Aquarius, the coming of the Antichrist.
Exactly. And even, you know, we have the Washington Monument, which is the world's largest obelisk, as I understand it.
555 feet tall, and it represents death and resurrection.
Yes, but not what Christians think of as death and resurrection.
Exactly.
It's actually a giant phallic symbol, because that is the god of Freemasonry. And see, that spiritual fact, which most Masons don't understand, is what makes Masonry so wicked, is it's Baal worship. It's the worship of the false god Baal. And because of that, a lot of men who become Masons, even if they're good men, they end up being seduced into perverse activities. And we're coming out now with a brand new DVD. It'll be out probably within a week. It's called Freemasonry Fail in the First Degree. And in that DVD, I talk about the fact that, you know, even in first degree, just a Mason that's just gone through the very first level of Blue Lodge, and you're right, the Blue Lodge is foundational to everything else, that they have knelt at the altar of Baal. They have sworn an oath that is forbidden in the Bible, and because of that, the doorways of their lives are blown open to all manner of evil. And you have so many cases, I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds of cases we've heard over the years of families where the father has gotten involved in pedophilia, child abuse, things of that nature, just very, very, very unsavory stuff, sinful things that just ruin families and that ruin lives.
Oh, absolutely. In the book of Matthew alone, I mean, the book of Matthew warns you about taking sworn oaths upon your blood. I mean, every degree you're swearing your blood upon this, and you conduct a ritual and everything, and about keeping things a secret, because Jesus says, have I kept anything a secret? I mean, the book of Matthew alone just destroys the whole philosophical view of Masonry.
Exactly. So that's a very big part of why the church has lost its punch, is that there's so many Masonic pastors and so many Masonic members. And I mean, you know, the famous evangelist Dwight Moody in the 19th century, he said that as long as there was Masonry in the church, there would be no revival. And that only when Masonry was cast out of the church, and people were told either get out of the lodge or get out of the church by courageous pastors, that the church would just sort of be sitting there simmering, lukewarm, with no real moves of the Holy Spirit being able to happen.
I got a friend in Pennsylvania. He's a reverend, and they right in, I don't want to say where he's from, his name or whatever, because he was telling me that's Masonic town where he's from. And basically, everybody's a Mason just about, and he's scared. I mean, him as a Mason, he spoke out about Masonry, and he got his life threatened. I mean, they even beat him up a couple of times, and they told him to keep his mouth shut about it. But the thing is, he still goes on with it, and he's a brave man. But, I mean, a lot of pastors are not aware of the dangers of Masonry. I mean, like, how many churches out there have Masons as pastors?
Well, it's a scandal, and it's a scandal in the body of Christ to have these kind of false shepherds. And unfortunately, at first, they don't know it, they don't get it. They join the lodge, like it says in Hosea, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. They join the lodge because they think it's something good to do, or some guy in their church tells them to do it. And then once you've got one foot in the door, it's like being in a spiritual bear trap. And it's very hard to get out. And without the grace of God, you just aren't going to get out.
Oh, yeah, because what they do is they give you grand names like Master Mason, and make you feel important, make you feel powerful. When you come out there, you feel, oh, I know stuff that other people don't. And you just feel proud of yourself, whatever. And they install that upon you. And that old saying, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, and that's what they do to you. They give you they slowly increment you and turn you from a monotheism into eventually to believe that Lucifer is God. I mean, like to look at the all-seeing eye, for example. They tell you, oh, it's the eye of God. Then you learn it's the eye of Horus, and eventually you learn it's Lucifer. With the 1,000 points illumination and all that stuff. And now, if you want to explain to people, what's the ties? I mean, where the ties come from, Masonry and the Illuminati?
Well, of course, in one way or another, the Illuminati has been around since the days of Nimrod, way back right after the Tower of Babel. And Masonry itself claims that Nimrod is one of its greatest members. And the point is that down through the centuries, there's always been this serpentine trail, I call it the path of the royal secret. And it's this Luciferian conspiracy that's underneath the surface. I mean, we have a lot of Christians that contact us and say, oh, well, I don't believe in conspiracies. Well, the trouble with that is you read Psalm 2. It talks about how the kings of the earth conspire together against Yahuwah and against his anointed. And of course, the anointing is another word for Messiah or Christ. And so they've been conspiring for a very long time. And what happened by that I mean the last 500 years or so, is that we had a group called the Society of Jesus come along, the Jesuit order, which is founded on Illuminati principles. And many people don't realize that the original name of the Jesuit order was Los Ilumbrados, because the guy that started it was Ignatius Loyola. He was a Spanish soldier who supposedly got religion. In any way, Los Ilumbrados is just the Spanish word of saying the illuminated ones. And so from that beginning in the last 500 years or so, it started to grow, it started to blend, and then, of course, with the formation of the Mother Lodge in England, that was in 1717, that kind of codified what is called speculative masonry. That's occult masonry. We're not talking here about people that are laying bricks. We're talking about people who are doing more than that. They're involved in Rosicrucianism and occultism. A lot of the people who were the early speculative masons were people like, Francis Bacon and Elias Ashmole and some of these other people who were very, very high-level esoteric magicians. And all this started coming together in 1776, which, yes, already says, oh, well, that's the year America was started. Well, not really. It was actually the year the Illuminati was started. And on May 1st, which is a high witch holiday by the guy you mentioned earlier, Adam Weishaupt, and he started blending Masonry with Illuminism. And the end result is that by the time the Illuminati was officially disbanded in the latter part of the 18th century, it had thoroughly, like a virus, infected the Masonic Lodge, and then also very much involved in many Protestant churches by the time of the 20th century. So that's how this conspiracy worked its way through the centuries, very briefly.
And yeah, exactly. People, this is in history documents. I mean, this is not conspiracy, because you could look this up for yourself. It's secrets hidden in plain sight. That's what it really is. And now, hey, you want to take some phone calls? Because a guy's been waiting for about an hour now.
That'd be great. Sure.
All right, sure. And People's Branch from North Carolina, you're on the air. Hello? Hi, People's Branch, you there?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, sorry to keep you waiting for so long. And you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, for sure. Could you tell me, is there any movements out there like the peoplesbranch.org that, 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 really is after solutions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're about solutions here. Mr. Schnoebelen, I mean, he's about a lot of solutions with the Illuminati and everything. And you know, you just got to, you know, study his books and everything else, and our books here and Infowars.com. But the solution is, you know, what he's doing now is a solution. Waking people up, that's a big solution. And what it does, when you wake up, you become aware of the stuff, and these secret societies, these people in high power, become less powerful because they're not hidden anymore.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I'm not familiar with this particular organization, but I do know there are, and this is how the church started. The church started as a little underground movement, and as it says in the Bible, you know, they ended up turning the world upside down. And the trouble is, in the last couple hundred years, the world has turned the church upside down. And we need to do some more spiritual judo on that, if you'll pardon the expression, and again, turn the world upside down. And it's done by small groups, you know, by people who are faithful, who are praying, and who, as
absolutely.
you say, get the word out.
Spread awareness and everything. And we got JR from California. You're on the air with Mr. Schnoebelen. How you doing? And sorry for waiting for so long. You got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to say that I agree with him on the Tower of Babel and all of the stuff in Genesis and Psalms, but I wanted to know what is the easiest thing and where can we see the Illuminati in everyday life, and how can we protect ourselves from them?
Well, basically, I mean, as you've said, they're hidden in plain sight. And, you know, I think many of the listeners here know about all of this. I mean, you know, the dollar bill, you know, the Washington Monument, all of these things are their symbols they love because, see, Lucifer is the head of the Illuminati, and he's an egomaniac. So he loves to sign his work. And that's why whenever these things happen, you know, whether there's some kind of terrorist attack or some other bizarre thing, you know, it always somebody will find the Illuminati signature on that. And, you know, there's references, there's buzzwords like, you know, George Bush's famous 1,000 points of light reference, you know, and of course, Masons are always talking about light too. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, look to the local Masonic lodges. Look to the Masonic lodges in your community because they are like the tentacles, if you will, of the Illuminati. And of course, on higher levels, you have the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., which is a very, very evil place. It's the headquarters of the American Scottish Rite. And all of these places are like citadels of power because there's an occult doctrine that by building things in certain ways, and I talked about this in several of my books and videos, it's called megalopolisomancy. If you build like, say, the shape of our nation's capital is actually, again, a phallic symbol, and it's based on the concept of a temple of Lucifer, just like the Vatican, as somebody has said.
Oh, yeah, the Vatican in Paris, France, and all that. And we got Tyler from Wisconsin. You're on the air. Hi, Tyler, yeah?
Yep, hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I totally agree with everything he's saying.
Oh, great. And you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, actually I do. I was wondering if there's anything else we can do to try to protect ourselves and try to get away from this kind of spirituality, I guess.
Well, absolutely. You have to accept the Messiah. You have to be saved through the blood of Christ. That's the number one thing because he will protect you. And then listen to the voice of his Spirit because, you know, he can direct things. I mean, right now in parts of the world where Christians are very, very heavily persecuted, they have to rely on the voice of the Holy Spirit. And then just to even know where a meeting is, even to know, okay, where is the church service, you know, because if people knew where they were, they'd be killed. And this is not good, you know, so we have to be open enough to the Spirit to be listening. And that's the critical thing, to hear his voice and then to follow. And then, you know, beyond that, as has been mentioned, spiritual warfare is critical. I mean, because you can have all the guns and all the ammunition and all this stuff, but if they come after you with spiritual darkness, with spiritual power, because that's what they're doing, all these physical weapons are not going to do you any good against the power of Satan.
Oh, exactly. It's a spiritual war. We need to be spiritually ready. And we got Mike from FEMA Region 10, and this is Dan from FEMA Region 6. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pray for you and the crew and Alex every day.
Oh,
so
thank you. We need the prayers, brother. Like, more important than money, anything else, we need prayers because we're the tip of the spear, basically, right into the New World Order, and they're attacking us all the time, and, you know, spiritually, everything, and probably putting curses on us as we speak. And you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, I got two quick questions for him. So we know, you know, groups like CFR, Trilateral, Bilderberg, they're relatively low, you know, and then you move up, you got the Committee of 300, the, you know, the Knights of Garter, whatever. And the Illuminati, when I hear that, it seems like such a blanket term to me, like there's so many groups, and then, you know, there's the Black Pope. And so to him, if he can explain what is like, I mean, is it the 13 families at the top, or, you know, who are these top groups? And then also if he has any interesting stories about, you know, these groups coming after him, since, you know, people like him who come out usually are attacked by the Illuminati, etc.
Well, sure. I mean, in my book, Masonry Beyond the Light, and in several of my DVDs, I break down the code of the pyramid that's on the back of the dollar bill, because there's a hierarchy there that's represented by, there's 13 ranks of that pyramid, which again is an interesting number. And at the near top, you have the Illuminati, and then at the pinnacle of the Illuminati, there is the 9 unknown men. And this is a little different than what maybe some other people are saying, but this at least was the organization that I was involved in. Every continent has an unknown man over it. You know, North America, South America, Europe, etc. And there's 9 of them in the world. And they in turn report to the 7. And the 7 are actually, I don't know this for a fact, but I've been told they're actually fallen angelic beings. They're fallen angels of incredible evil power. And then above the 7 is actually, you know, Lucifer himself. And, of course, he is a fallen cherub. He's not a fallen angel. A cherub is different than an angel, and if someone has a question about that, we can talk about that. But that's basically the upper part of the hierarchy. The lower part of the hierarchy are all these different weird occult groups like Lucis Trust, some of the things you've mentioned, the CFR, Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergers, and, of course, at the lower level, you have, you know, the Freemasons, which don't know it, but they are like cannon fodder spiritually for the Illuminati. And in terms of efforts on our lives, I just tell people, you know, my dad can beat up their dad. Hallelujah. And we have had, you know, like we've been shot at. We've had attempts on our life. We've tried to have people run us off the road, poisonings, illnesses. I mean, but you know, our God is greater. And
absolutely.
He is the Almighty One. And so as long as he wants me in service down here, you know, I'm not afraid. I mean, you know, there's nothing they can do because, you know, like
exactly, and that's how we are. You know, I mean, if it was too, I mean, like we know our lives are being, you know, put at stake, especially yours. You know, the stuff you know and what you've been through, and you know, God's going to protect us. And the thing is, the elite hate about this because they know if God has a mission for me, for Alex Jones, for you, and for John Bowen and everybody else, if he has a mission, nobody can do anything about it. Nobody, not even Lucifer himself. And we got another caller, Carlos from Illinois. You're there. You there, brother?
Yeah. How you?
Awesome. How you doing? Thank you for calling. And you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys read that story in Drudge about, I believe it was earlier this week, about the scientist who fell asleep and ended up finding heaven through his pineal gland. Do you have anything to say about that?
I didn't hear nothing. How about you, Bill?
No, I'm not familiar with that, but I know they're doing a lot of amazing work with the brain. And, you know, people forget our brains were created by Yahweh God, and they're created to hunger for him. That's a deep need that we all have, and unfortunately, a lot of people are looking in the wrong place. I did that for 16 years. I spent 16 years of my adult life looking for heaven everywhere but in the right place. So, I mean, the pineal gland, I mean, some people call it the third eye, some people call it the ajna chakra. And, the point is our soul is bigger than that. Our spirit is bigger than that. And we don't need necessarily to activate the ajna chakra or whatever to become, quote unquote, enlightened. I mean, I had the devil take his forefinger and drive it into my skull, for heaven's sakes, to be enlightened. And it ain't fun. And fortunately, Yeshua set me free from that many years ago. But, you don't need to be messing with the brain. You need to be praying. And there's some people who will take drugs, like
DMT is one of them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The Bible warns us about using pharmakeia because it opens this third eye, the pineal gland, that brings you into the spiritual world. That's why the Native Americans and everything else thought they were talking to spirits and everything. But you actually communicate into the spirit world with unclean spirits. And it's the scary stuff. And the New Age Christians, they call them, and New Agers out there, think they're talking to spirits and all this stuff. You're not talking to spirits. You're talking to demons. Anything to do with hallucinations and everything, drugs and all that, DMT especially, it's dangerous. The Bible warns us, don't use this pharmakeia, it calls it. And this is all to do with, communicating with spirits, but they're unclean spirits, like I said.
Well, I think we need to make your listeners aware that the word in English for pharmakeia is sorcery.
Sorcery.
And you can certainly see our word pharmacy today that we use, are pharmaceutical drugs. That's actually what it talks about in the book of Revelations when it says Babylon the Great.
You guys want to pull up an image of the medical symbol with the snake, the serpent staff? Yeah.
The caduceus, yeah, that is, anyhow, Babylon the Great, it says that she deceived the world with her sorceries. And everybody thinks, that means like magical stuff and all that, and it does. But the word there is actually pharmakeia, the word you're using. And it means, literally, it means drugs. And I have a couple of DVDs like The Medical Conspiracy and Medical Murder, where I talk about how the Illuminati have pretty much gotten control of the healthcare systems, at least in the Western world, especially in America. And they're trying to push all these pharmaceutical drugs which destroy the body and destroy the mind. And it's exactly what the book of Revelation warns about.
And it's on screen right now, Bill. You want to describe that symbol with the double serpent up on the staff there? The caduceus?
Yeah, well, it actually goes back. It's related to Hermes or Mercury, and it's the twin. It represents what's called the Ida and the Pingala in yoga, going up the spine to release the Kundalini, and this is not good. I mean, because it's like the serpent force, they call it in the occult. And
the Kundalini magic, that's what people like Joel Osteen uses, and these false prophets to say we can heal you, and they actually make people get off wheelchairs and walk around, dance around like retards, and bark like dogs and everything. They think it's the spirit of God, but it's Kundalini magic. Yeah, and exactly what Bill was just describing. It does. It goes up it's energy like a coiled snake in your spine, and just bam, the people jump out of the wheelchair, run around barking like dogs, and they think it's this miracle. It's satanic.
Yeah, it is very dangerous stuff, and unfortunately, you're right. A lot of Christian leaders and TV preachers and stuff are involved in this because they think as long as they can get results, they don't care where it comes from, and that's not of God. We're supposed to not do the things the Gentiles do. We're not supposed to be involved in the dark arts and things like that, and yet many people do it because they think it's a way to draw crowds and, of course, to get more money in the offering plate.
And we got one more caller here. David from California there.
Yes, I am.
How you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. How you liking the California coast over there?
It's great when they're not spraying chem clouds all over us.
Oh, yeah. They've been bothering us the last couple of days. But you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yes, I do. Actually, I was going to ask him about John Todd, and I'm sure he gets this question a lot, but I haven't really heard anything about him except that he had gotten arrested or under rape charges. I don't know if there's any truth to that or anything else like that. And also, Yeah, and also as far as spiritual warfare goes, I believe that God has something good for me and everything else, but I believe that also Satan has been trying to destroy me through all these various means and everything else, and he's failed at every one except for one, which is a woman. And I was wondering what I could do, even though I pray and everything else. It's just that my willpower is kind of weak when it comes to that. And if he has any suggestions for that.
Well, okay, I'll try and keep both questions in mind here. What I would say about Mr. Todd, as I understand it, he's now deceased. He was murdered in prison. I think it was in South Carolina. He was accused of statutory rape and was serving time in prison. I heard a tape that he smuggled out. I don't agree with everything he taught, but I think basically he really did a great service to the body of Messiah, because he got a lot. When no one else was talking about it, he warned about the dangers of the occult. He warned about the dangers of Freemasonry and the Illuminati and stuff like that way back, like in the 70s. And, unfortunately, the devil was able to get at him and take him down. And, that sometimes happens. And, but no, I think the vast majority of his information was very, very valuable. And so about that. Now, in terms of your question, what we talk about in our book, Blood on the Doorpost, is that many times people become believers in Messiah, but they don't understand that they're dragging around this spiritual baggage from their past, and they need...
Hey, Mr. Schnoebelen, I'm sorry, it's coming in staticky, but we're going to go to a break in about a minute, and we're going to try reconnecting with you because the audio is breaking up a little bit. But anyway, we'll be right back on Infowars.com. Again, folks, Paul, we need money to support this operation, to bring great guests like Mr. Schnoebelen. And again, folks, the phone number, 1-877-789-ALEX. Call us right now. We'll put you on hold, and we'll get you in. We'll be right back. Yeah, now we're back on Infowars.com, folks, the Money Bomb. And, folks, keep the calls coming in. Again, 1-877-789-ALEX. If you want to ask Mr. Schnoebelen the question, he's going to join us hopefully for a little while longer, because we got a couple other topics to cover. And we got Dwayne, Joey, Julius, Mitch, and Mark, and Brandon. We're going to get to your calls in just a few minutes. And, again, you got Mr. Schnoebelen, Bill Schnoebelen, from withoneaccord.org, great website. His books are on there and everything else. And folks, please call in, because we need money to come up with other stuff like this. I mean, people need to hear this stuff, to hear truth. I mean, stuff that no other radio stations would even cover with, or touch with a 10-foot pole. You'll never hear mainstream media or any Glenn Becks or any of these people covering this issue. There's only very few channels and radio stations that will actually touch something like this. And again, it's a pleasure to have you on, Mr. Schnoebelen. And I want to switch gears a little bit. I mean, I know we're coming upon a time of Halloween. What's your, if you want to give a description of the bloodbaths that took place, and people think Halloween's just one night, and we know it's 3 days. I think it's the 29th, 30th, and 31st. It's a Druid holiday, and this is where the trick-or-treat comes from, the bobbing for apples, the jack-o'-lantern, I mean, folk, and also bonfires, which were bonfires. And Mr. Schnoebelen, what's your take, and you want to tell us the history of this?
Well, actually, it goes back even further than the Druids. It goes back again to the dawn of time, to Nimrod. And because in the northern hemisphere, now we're seeing the days are getting shorter, the sun appears to be going away. There was this idea that on this night, Halloween, that the sun god was dying, quote unquote. And of course, this was very scary to these primitive peoples, and the devil and his minions played on this fear, and they said, okay, because of this, you need to perform rituals, you need to do sacrifices to bring the sun god back to life. And so the sun god is then reborn on the next high witch holiday, which is Yule, which is December 23rd. And see, that's why the whole thing got started of quote unquote Jesus being born on December 25th. Actually, there he was not born anywhere near that date. It's a pagan holiday. It's called Yule. And but the point is that it's the rebirth of the sun god. But you need to have all of these dark things being done back around the time of October 31st to supposedly bring these things about. So in Satanism, in the Illuminati, it's a time of profound bloodletting. It's a time of human sacrifice and just all sorts of unspeakable things. And you're right, a lot of the iconography that you see around Halloween is highly occult. I mean, black cats, witches riding on broomsticks, the various things, the jack-o'-lantern, all of these things are symbols of pagan deities. And that's why, again, as believers, we're not supposed to be a part of the world system. We're supposed to keep to the feasts of Yahweh, to the feasts that are in the Bible, rather than celebrating Halloween. And I personally, my own story is that I was first defiled by the occult when I was a little child by being out on Halloween night. And I was walking around minding my own business, with my buddy going door to door getting candy. And all of a sudden I looked up in the sky, and this is a beautiful October evening, but I looked up in the sky, and instead of being clear, it was full of what I imagined were demons, giant black, leathery, evil things with red eyes. And those eyes burned into my soul. And from that time on, I started to have an unhealthy interest, even as a child, in things of the occult, in things involving witchcraft and the paranormal. And see, that was happening because back then nobody taught about the dangers of Halloween. My mother and father didn't know that. They didn't know it was dangerous. They thought it was part of their cultural tradition. But a lot of people don't understand that Halloween was illegal in America until some of my ancestors, the Irish, came over here in the 19th century and brought Halloween with them. But most states in the early part of American history would not allow the celebration of Halloween because they knew it was the devil's holiday.
And now, people need to hear the truth, and we don't hold nothing back and nothing sugar-coated because truth shouldn't be sugar-coated. Now, you want to get into the gory details because people need to hear this. The gory details and meanings of trick-or-treat, the jack-o'-lantern, all the little things on Halloween.
Well, see, you're talking again about Baal worship, and Baal worship involves child sacrifice. Yep. And the idea of trick-or-treat went back to the time that it was expected every year that a family in a village would have to give up their child to be sacrificed to Baal or to Molech or whatever the name of the deity was. And it's interesting, even in the British Isles, which is where a lot of people are associating Halloween with, there is a god named Bel, B-E-L, which is just another version of Baal. And in any event, and you basically had a choice. The priest would come of these evil groups, and they would mark the door of that house. And that house, you either had to turn over your youngest child to them for sacrifice, or they would destroy the village. So that's the origin of trick or treat. Today, it's like, okay, you give us candy, or we'll TP your home, or we'll soap your windows, or ha ha ha, and it's all good fun. Well, no, it isn't. And because
they used to, and if you didn't give the child the tree, they put a hexagram. I drew one out here. I'm bad, but I'm drawing here, but they would mark a hexagram on your door, which you would invite demons into the house to kill somebody. And in the hexagram, regardless of what other people say, whatever, the hexagram is probably the most powerful talisman in all of the occult. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, yes, and it is. It is definitely a symbol that attracts evil spirits. But I would want to clarify, because there's a lot of stuff going around about this. It's not the same thing as the Star of David. A hexagram has a circle around it, and that's what gives it. It's like kind of concentrates its occult power. I've studied many magical workbooks over the years. Back when I was a sorcerer and a witch, and you'll almost never find a 6-pointed star in a magical workbook unless it is inside of a circle. Just like you'll usually see a pentagram, which is a 5-pointed star, inside of a circle. And so, don't assume, because a lot of people will get into these anti-Semitic tirades over the fact that the symbol of Judaism is the Star of David, the Magen David, and that is not the same thing as a hexagram. But yeah, you are right. They would draw this on the household, and then they would be smitten by demons, or maybe even physically killed by the priests unless they turned over their child.
And the jack-o'-lanterns, I mean, what I learned is what they did was they took human melted flesh, filled it up as wax to basically as a candle. That's the jack-o'-lantern, because you were the jack in the lantern. Is that correct?
I've heard that, yeah. I mean, what people don't understand is that, in ancient Britain, there were no pumpkins. I mean, pumpkins are from the New World. And so actually they would use what you're describing, or else they would also use large turnips and things like that, and they would put candles inside of them.
Yep, that's right, yep.
It's really, really gross things, because, again, this is all rooted in bloodletting, because the whole idea, we see this in the Bible in 1 Kings 18, the idea that the pagan priests believe there's power in like gashing themselves and cutting themselves and shedding blood, either their own blood or more usually other people's blood. And there's the belief in that by doing that you release occult power to feed Satan. And of course, that's not true, but yet it's a way of what I call promoting spiritual terrorism. Because if a community is terrified that they're going to be killed by this satanic priesthood, they're going to give over their goods and their children, whatever the devil wants. And we need to stop allowing that to happen, because nowadays, for example, we've industrialized this with abortion. We've created a huge industry of child sacrifice.
Oh yeah, I think it was what was that? We had that guy, and he's a black preacher. His website, yeah, he had a website. Basically, he showed the abortions by the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Childress. I'm sorry, Reverend Childress. He had a website, and it's like a counter showing the abortions by the second. I mean, just in the United States alone, I mean, 40,000 since May, I believe it was. 40,000 kids dead just in the United States alone, and since May of this year. And it really bothered me. I mean, I was up all night that night, because it just really got inside me to know, as we're speaking right now, some child is being sacrificed, I call it, because they need this child sacrifice, and that's why they dress kids in Halloween costumes like ghouls and goblins, because it's a mock sacrifice, especially on Halloween.
Well, yes. And the problem is that every one of those abortions is regarded by Satanists as a way of releasing evil energy. It's horrible, because, as you say, it's a destruction of a child, and many people in our nation have just kind of taken it for granted, and they've gotten, their hearts have been hardened, because what does it say about a culture when they are killing their own children? At the rate of, like you say, thousands of children a year. So this is horrifying.
Is there any way you guys can pull that up? That website there with the counter. Yeah, if you go down, this is abortion photo. I don't know if it's in photos, but I don't know, probably there's a counter at the bottom of the website. I'm sorry, Bill, I just wanted to see this, because it just like really, there's a counter, I think, of the abortion photos. You go to the bottom of it, there's a counter. Yeah, and yeah, I'm sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Well, one other thing about Halloween, too, is that even just I'm like 60 years old and some, and, when I was a kid, and look what happened to me, Halloween was pretty innocent. I mean, in the last 10 or 15 years, we got little kids running around dressed as Freddy Krueger or as, Jason from Friday the 13th, and there's all this blood and all this gore. I mean, I walk by the mall, and I try to stay away from it, but there's this Halloween store, and they have very highly sexualized costumes for little girls, and they have very gory, evil-looking things for young kids that aren't even, 8 or 9 years old, and they're dressing them up as axe murderers and stuff like that. And what do you think that does to a child, at a young age, to expose them to this sort of thing? Because once a child's spirit is defiled by things like this, it goes back to spiritual warfare. That child, until the salvation of Messiah can come into their life, that child is going to be messed up by that. And even some of these churches and other nonprofit organizations and communities will have haunted houses. We have a couple of them in our community, like done by the YMCA or the Boy Scouts or whatever. And again, the whole point of them is to terrify kids. It's like a fun house, ha, ha, ha. But yet what people don't realize is if you just seriously scare a child and make them shriek, that kind of terror will open up a spiritual doorway. It will open up a hole in their soul that evil spirits can come in and defile them.
And what it does too, psychologically, back in the early parts of the country, when the country was founded, people had a great knowledge in the Bible. What they're trying to do is basically take the Bible away and say, you know what, you need to be scared of this evil. And the Bible teaches us, no, don't be scared of it. Basically confront it, know the enemy and expose it. But the way the system is today is keep your mouth shut and be afraid of it. Don't ask questions, don't do nothing. And, that's why they condition these kids to be scared of everything. So they don't ask questions. And can I keep you for another 20 minutes? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to take a phone call. Joey from Texas, you're on the air. Sorry, guys. These guys are working hard. They've been working all night here. And, it's... Yeah, Joe, you there? Joey from Texas. From the Lone Star State. How you doing? FEMA Region 6.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. You got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say, Badandi, you're awesome for getting Bill Schnoebelen on. I couldn't believe it when I heard that.
Well, the thing is, I went, to the demand because I listen to the fans like we all do here, and it's hard to respond because it's just so much. And I heard of people, we need to talk about the Illuminati. We need to expose them. We need to get to deep details about certain things. And I heard that, and I'm like, bam, when I got my opportunity to be on the air here, I said, we need Mr. Schnoebelen because this guy is not recognized. You don't see him all over the, all the radio shows or anything. This guy is basically a diamond in the rough. He needs to be heard. Me and Mr. Schnoebelen, we could stand here for the next 6 hours and wouldn't even touch the fabric of the occult. And you got a question?
Yeah. Me and my dad have been talking about this, but I was wondering, Bill, could you talk more about the Magi, I believe going back before the Sumerians, and then also its relation to the mentioning of the Magi during Jesus' birth, and why it has different names and different versions of the Bible, like the Jehovah's Witness Bible and the Mormon LDS one.
Okay, that's kind of an odd mixture, but to get to the Magi thing, the Magi were Chaldean astronomers and astrologers, and they're mentioned in the book of Daniel. And Daniel was the leader of them at one point, the prophet Daniel. And but over the centuries, like a lot of things, the 200 or 300 years, some of them got corrupt. But the intriguing thing about this is, if you study it out, is that they were originally, they turned into priests of Zoroaster, and Zoroastrianism is the ancestor of the modern Farsi religion, which is the basically the religion in, I think it's Persia or Iran. And of course, now they're Muslims, but there's this underpinning underneath of it. And what happened with Daniel is he gave all of these really specific prophecies about the coming Messiah. And he was very, very wealthy. And he, because he kept getting the kings, he'd solve the king's problems and he'd solve the king's dreams, interpret their dreams prophetically, and they'd give him all this money. So he had this huge amount of money, and he foretold the time of the coming of Messiah. And he ended up giving a legacy to these magi that were his pupils. That when you see a certain star coming up in a certain constellation, the constellation of Betula, which is the Hebrew way of saying Virgo, that a virgin shall conceive and bring forth a son, you should take all of this wealth that I have bequeathed you and travel west to the land of Israel and give it to the king of the Jews, who will be a young child. And so that's what they did. So, in a sense, the Magi were actually serving the purposes of the Almighty, even though they were not actually aware of it at the time. But yet they ended up actually getting saved because they followed the star, and they ended up, we all know the story. But there's a lot more to the story. So that's the deal about the Magi. Now, in terms of the Bible versions, we very much strongly insist on the King James Bible. The counterfeit Bibles are everywhere. And, of course, the Jehovah's Witness Bible is one of the worst, out there. And at the same time, though, I mean, what people don't know is that many of the modern Bibles that are used by Christians, like the New American Standard Bible, the NIV Bible, are based on the same text as the Jehovah's Witness Bible. And that's a whole discussion in itself, which we probably don't have time to get into. But I just, especially if you're doing spiritual warfare, because all the other modern Bibles will attack the deity of Christ. They will remove references to the blood of Christ. They will, do other things to denigrate Bible truth. Like,
for example, we'll look at the NIV, for example. That's a New World Order Bible right there. That thing's disgusting. I mean, you should burn that Bible if you have one. And we got to move on. And thank you, Joey from Texas. Great hearing from you. And we're going to go to Julius from Georgia. You're on the air. How you doing?
Great, Mr. Bernardi. How are you?
Fine. How are you? And how are you liking the Money Bomb so far?
Oh, I think it's great, man. Here's the thing. You guys see things in terms of sort of a binary opposite, good and evil, God versus Satan. And here's the really funny thing, man. I'm a neo-pagan. I follow the Germanic path. And if I had a choice between the secular world where, like, the church is denied and God is thrown out of all the schools and all this kind of stuff, I would reject that in favor of Christianity. So I favor gun rights. I'm against abortion. I like to stand for everything you guys say. But then when you just say, like, it just feels like there's a lot of judgment and a lot of hate, and it's rough, dude.
Well,
like,
there's two kinds of Christians out there, okay? There's a very rare Christian, which is a true Bible-believing Christian that doesn't follow religion, that doesn't go to these 501c3 churches, because the mainstream churches out there, they promote that. We're better than anybody else. We don't have to worry about nothing because we're going to be magically beamed up by Scotty, before all the bad stuff happens. And that's what, these churches teach. And, again, it's two kinds of Christians out there. I mean, a real Christian doesn't belong to a religion. A real Christian knows the Bible on its own. They don't judge anybody. I mean, you look at, you got Catholics and Christians out there yelling and swearing at gay people, you're going to go to hell, instead of, nicely talking to them, or people who support abortion, you're going to go to hell. You don't do that. Them being gay, if you swear, okay, it's just the same amount of sin as that person being gay. And, they don't realize this stuff. There's no degree in sin. And everybody, all of us, myself, I sin all day, every day. And, the thing is repentance. But, if you really wanted to, I'm not trying to throw the Bible down your throat, brother, but if you really want to know the real God, the real Yeshua Messiah, okay, study the Bible on your own. Don't listen to these half-bred priests from the Vatican, or these false prophets like the 700 Club, Billy Graham, Pat Robinson. These guys are evil, bottom line. And I don't have time to discuss all that, but these people are evil. If you want to get to know God, whatever, do it on your own, and ask for for guidance as well. And you got any comments on that, Bill?
Well, yeah, I would pretty much agree. And I would just say that, realize that the true message of Yeshua, of Jesus, is not ever hate. I was a pagan for 16 years, and, no Christian ever witnessed to me. Nobody ever tried to tell me about the Lord, and I wish they had, because I never knew how empty I was until I asked him into my heart. And you're right, it's not about hate, and it's not about going to some building or some religion. It's about a relationship with the creator of the universe.
And absolutely. When God talks about the church, he's not talking about a building. He's not talking about the structure, what this priest with this $1 million necklace or whatever. He's talking about a church is you. You're the church. The physical body, the flesh is the temple of the church. Just me and Bill here, we make up the church here because we're talking. When two or more gather in his name, that's the church. It could be in your basement, your car, anywhere. And but the religions will never teach you that. They'll tell you, you have to come here. You got to pay us. They'll bring up that Bible verse, 10% of your tithes to the church. But they don't bring up the other verse, how it was abolished later. they'll throw that at you. And, you know, to make you, the thing is about religions, even Jesus in the book of Thomas said about organized religion. And when he says money is the root of all evil, he was talking about the first corporations were the churches. The religions out there that scare you. You're going to go to hell if you don't come here, go to confession, blah, blah, blah. When the book of Matthew debunks the whole catechism on its own. And I'm not picking on just Catholics, but all religions are the same. They got the equal evilness. They've been infiltrated, especially by the Illuminati. I mean, I could go on all night with this stuff. And we got Brandon from Kentucky. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and how about yourself?
Not bad. Staying up late here, supporting the money bomb here. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And we got one guy, John Bowney. He's from Kentucky there, too. But anyway, you got a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, actually, I had two short questions. One was, what is his take on the book of Edidorphia? It's a Freemasonry book. If there is any dangers in owning that book, and Look to the East. Also, what is his take on this? All these end time events that are going on that would seem apocalyptic, and I'm wondering if he thinks that it's the Illuminati manipulating the things of the Bible, or the Bible is actually coming true. So that would be my questions, and thank you guys for your time.
I must confess, I've never heard of this book of Edidorphia, but if it's a Masonic book, I really don't advise having it in your house. You know, it depends on why you have it. I mean, at one time I had a lot of these kind of weird books, and even now I've prayed over them. I pled the blood of Yeshua over them, and I keep them somewhere else. I don't keep them in my home. So I do not, even though I'm a minister of the gospel and I have them for holy reasons, I really don't recommend it unless you're a minister or unless you're really very spiritually mature, because they can really draw malignant influences into your home, especially if you happen to have children. I'm sorry, I forgot the other half of the question.
You still there, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm still here. The other half of the question, well, I actually mentioned another book was Look to the East, and the point on the books were, I've heard that people have been killed over having the books, actually owning the books in print. And the other question was, do you, Bill, believe that there's Illuminati actually manipulating these end-time events? I mean, the things that are happening on a daily basis, I mean, through, say, weather technology, these sort of things, or do you actually believe that the Bible events are happening as they are said? Thank you.
Well, and the first thing, I know there are certain books that are so dangerous that just having them in your home, people have died, you know, killed by being driven mad, being driven insane, or their children were. I don't know about these two books, but if they're Masonic, as I said, I'd burn them. I'd get rid of them. In terms of the other thing, you need to realize that sometimes we see this in the Bible, that the Almighty will use pagan kings to do his bidding. He will use, you know, people to that are evil to bring enough judgment into a society, into a, like Israel in the case of the Old Testament, to try and bring them to repentance. And I don't know for sure. I did a whole talk on weather warfare and scalar technology that was called Russia's, you know, secret weapon to destroy America many years ago. I know that they have the power to create hurricanes, to create storms, to create earthquakes, all of these things. That's out there. I mean, the documentation is there. But whether or not they're doing it to mimic the Bible or whether it's being done by the Almighty, that I don't know for sure. I do know that they often, by they I mean the Illuminati, will use weather technology to create disasters, to try and just create more chaos, because they believe the more chaos they create, the more likely it is that they can move in with their wonderful plan to, you know, save the world, quote unquote.
And we got Mitch from Wisconsin. How you doing? You're on the air, Infowars.com.
Hello?
Hi, Mitch, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear from FEMA Region 6. How you doing?
Oh, man. Well, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, great. How you liking the Money Bomb so far? 48 hours, man. We're pushing it.
I'm loving it. This is actually my first year.
Oh, great. I'm glad you're staying up for this because we're touching on some very important issues. And do you have a question for Mr. Schnoebelen?
Yeah, I kind of do because I did have a question, and you actually, he touched up on it while I was listening, researching all the Illuminati stuff and all their practicing and magic and rituals and whatnot, and then just other information that I've came across, you know, doing research. I just kind of wanted to know, like, how much are they into doing psychedelics during rituals, during practicing magic?
Well, I know when I was involved with these things, it was primarily using a very powerful form of hashish, which can be psychedelic, and using that, and to a lesser extent using things like peyote and mescaline and ayahuasca. So yeah, this is done because it's believed in the occult that these things open up your third eye, and they're very, very dangerous. You know, you don't want to blow open your third eye because I mean, you know, what it really does is it invites in what the Bible calls a spirit of divination, and that's a demon. And once that demon strongman gets into you, you may acquire occult power, which is, of course, what the Illuminati want. They want to have occult power. But I'm talking about the average person, and especially a Christian. You do not want to be taking those kind of chemicals because it will totally blow away your mind. And, you know, I mean, even from this, because I've had courses on a graduate level in psychopharmacology. What these things do is they mimic psychosis. In other words, they make you temporarily schizophrenic, and that's not a good place to be. And when you add the demonic component, that's why when you hear of young people or even not so young people taking these drugs, and I've taken all of them in my evil past, you really end up with a bucket load of demons in your lap, and you know it's a horrible experience to try and get out of. That's why many people who get bound up in drugs end up trying to commit suicide and stuff like that. It's just a horrible thing.
Oh, it is. And you got any other questions before we move to our last caller?
No, just want to comment on his answer, and I do agree how the average person could easily have very bad results if they indulge in psychedelics, but touching on what you said, what the Bible refers to it as, hasn't there been positive experiences that people have told? And I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure someone did research into like the Dead Sea Scrolls and said that the entire religion might be a misinterpretation of a mushroom cult. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, that's the work of John Allegro. I think it's kind of, with all due respect, I think it's pretty much nonsense. He talks about magic mushrooms and how that's really, you know, what actually Yeshua was a mushroom. And I mean, obviously you can believe what you want, but I really don't think that I've heard of anybody having a real positive spiritual experience with psychedelics.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it leads to destruction. I mean, anything to do with drugs at all like that. I mean, the thing is, you're supposed to be in your conscious state of mind, and to be subconscious and out to la la land or whatever, that you're walking dangerous path right there. And we got to go to our last caller. Then we're going to have Bill Schnoebelen. He's going to have the floor for the last 5 minutes. And we got Mark from Oregon. You're on the air. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Dan, and greetings to you and Bill.
Oh, thank you. And I'm glad you're staying up late for this. I mean, we're doing the graveyard shift over here, pushing it into overdrive.
Oh, I've caught about at least 90% of the Money Bomb today. It's been a real special thing. It really has.
This is our WrestleMania. This is our Super Bowl, you know what I mean? Because it's a time of year we all get to come together and say, yeah, we got to put out good product for the people. And that's what, that's what you're funding, because the more, the more people give, the more we can expand our operation to provide shows like this. And Alex has been talking expand the radio show. My dream is to do a night show. And, I would love to do a show like this, at least once a week from now, whatever. But, I mean, we need the money to do something like this. And to bring people like Bill on, which who greatly appreciate because he's staying up late for this. And but anyway, you got a question?
Yeah, the sun will be coming up before too long where y'all are at. It's past late.
Yeah, it's that's why they call it the graveyard, because everybody's a walking dead zombie right now.
Oh, I look at it as the park on a beautiful Sunday morning. You know, the quality of the light kind of gets sublimated beneath the gravity and the truth of the conversation. But you know, Bill, I got, I think it was a 4 cassette tape set. It was before a few years before CDs, back in the mid '90s. That you had made through the Prophecy Club. And I can't remember the name of the
I think Exposing the Illuminati from Within.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the head, Dan. And I was very impressed there. I thought that you had Christian witness of the persuasion to non-believers, and of the spiritual strength as an underlay and an overlay coming out of your vast experience in the occult. And I was very impressed with you. And about 6 or 7 years ago, Bill, I suggested to Alex on a call-in that he have you on as a guest, but he really hadn't heard much of you. And I'm so glad that Dan brought you on tonight, Bill, because I think you have... it's not alone, but it is unique in some very ways that stand out strongly. Say comparatively with Doc Marquise, he's also very good. He tends to be more intellectual, which is fine because we all have those different qualities which the Lord uses. But you bring your heart to it in a very big way, Bill. And it'd be a great idea, Dan. It's just a suggestion if you could have Alex to bring Bill on, and perhaps Doc Marquise, because these are very
I would love to bring him on. Actually, I would love to have both of these guys on at once. I mean, if I ever got the opportunity again, I would love to have both of them on, because, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people out there write books about the Illuminati, whatever, but these two people, they're the real deal. I mean, they've been there. They've done that. You know, I mean, that's why I don't look to other people for, you know, when I do research and all that. I, you know, research under Bill Schnoebelen, and even Fritz Springmeier and Cisco Wheeler and all these people who've been there and done that. And, yeah, I mean, these guys are great, a lot of information. And, you know, I'll just say, wow, because, Bill, I mean, like, we could be here all night. We didn't even cover half the subjects we wanted to talk about with Mitt Romney and everything else. And, Mark, you got any other questions?
I wanted to ask you what your views are on Mitt Romney relative to Joseph Smith's White Horse prophecy, which I would imagine you're probably familiar with, at least generally.
Oh, I'm familiar with it specifically. Yeah.
Well, if there was ever a time the country seems to be losing its constitution, it would seem to be now, and he happens to be a high Mormon in running. So, could this...
Well, we have gotten a couple of DVDs out there, including this Throne of Fools, where I talk about Mitt Romney versus Obama. And of course, now that we're getting down to the wire, I think it's very important information. And I do warn people that he's a high priest. Romney is in the LDS Church. He's part of a 5th generation Mormon dynasty. He's not just a Mormon. He's a very high level Mormon. And they have their own view, which you alluded to in the White Horse prophecy, that that one day an elder of Israel will save America, will save the Constitution, and then will start a benevolent dictatorship that they call the United Order. And it will basically be a communistic society that's run by the prophet, seer, and revelator of the Mormon Church. And I mean, I don't have time to get into the whole thing, but I really, as dangerous as Obama is, Romney in his own
Bill,
way.
I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry. Yeah, we got like about 30 seconds left, whatever. Your final take, your website once again with oneaccord.org, and I appreciate so much you coming on this late, and it's been a pleasure. And stay right there after the show because I want to talk to you during the break. And you know, if you want to promote your website, you got 10 seconds.
Yeah, www.withoneaccord.org.
And also, you can catch him on YouTube. His great documentaries, folks. Exposing the Illuminati from Within. He's got other ones. And again, with oneaccord.org. And when we come back, we're going to open the phone lines, 1-877-789-ALEX. And we're going to have a special guest host, Rich Anatone, and we'll be right back on Infowars.com. Money Bomb, yeah. Watch people's heads explode. Yeah, watch the NWO explode because we're coming live at you from Infowars.com from our Central Command Station in Austin, Texas. And it's 4 a.m. Central Time. We're keeping you up all night, brother, because we're going to have another hour of the show. And we got Rich Anatone is going to be joining us momentarily, folks. But first, before I do that, again, call the number, Infowars, MoneyBomb.com. We need the money to bring you more shows like this. And I just wanted to plug one item we have on InfoWarsHealth.com. It's pollen burst. It's what's keeping me up all night. And half the guys have been here for like 14, 15 hours. Chris has been here for 32 hours. 32 hours, whatever. Yeah. And this is what's been keeping us up, man. You get a whole box of these little packages. I think it's 30 in there. And again, InfoWarsHealth.com. And great tasting. I mean, we got... Pollen Burst Plus, this is a great taste. Like it's berry flavor. We got the citrus punch, all the other stuff, and there's a variety of different flavors. But this stuff is great. It's not like energy drink because you get the crash, whatever. This is just B vitamins. I mean, it's incredible. You don't get no crash. You feel energized all day and feel good because it's vitamins you do not get in, you know, drinks and food and everything else. And again, InfoWarsHealth.com. And if you go down, you got the Tangy Tangerine. You got the Pollen Burst packages, and we also got Rebound as well. And it's all on the website, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsHealth.com. I mean, it's great products. I mean, like Aaron Dykes lost 80 pounds, I believe, or 92 pounds over this. And by the way, there was a great report by Aaron Dykes during the commercial break on the Illuminati. And I want to thank Mr. Schnoebelen for coming on once again. And again, with oneaccord.org, that's his website. And this is why we need your funding, folks, because we need to bring important people like him and Doc Marquise, the caller's been talking about, to bring them on. And wouldn't it be great to have them two on the show at once? I mean, it'll be great. All the knowledge these guys have. You can look these guys up on YouTube. They go all over the country, do seminars. And I can't say enough about these guys. I mean, these guys are on the target. I mean, they're exposing the symbolism on the dollar bill and all the other stuff. But anyway, Rich Anatone, how you doing, man?
Not bad, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Rich Anatone, he's been my co-host because I had a radio talk show in Rhode Island called Truth Radio. It was truthradio.cc and truthradioshow.com. And Rich has been my co-host for about 3 years now. And we did our, thing of kicking the butt of the New World Order and everything else. And I brought Rich in today to co-host with me for the last hour of the show. And people, the phone line's open topics, whatever you want to talk about, 1-877-789-ALEX. That's 1-877-789-ALEX. And Rich, how you doing, man? Sorry to keep you up this late. I dragged Rich at the the last minute. Said, Rich, you got to come on. This is good stuff.
Man, well, it's great to be here. It's been a while since you and I were we're doing any kind of radio together. I'm in Texas. I'm in Indiana, and yeah, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, two good old boys from Rhode Island. Now I'm in Texas, you're in Indiana, and I mean, that'll be great if you come down here to work someday. That'd be awesome.
Eventually, man.
Alex could use a person like you. I mean, he's a great journalist, expert in economics, just about. And I mean, this guy is well-rounded, folks, when it comes to fighting the New World Order. And this is why I had him as my co-host for years. And we interview great people like John. What's his name? Adams from the FBI agent, John Adams.
Oh, yeah, Don Adams.
Don Adams, yeah.
3-hour interview with that guy.
Awesome. And today we're going to talk about basically the news, what's going on during the week. I mean, I know we're shifting gears here from the Illuminati, but we need to cover the highlight, all the top stories that occurred over the weekend. It is so much. I mean, you've been keeping up, Rich. I mean, like, wow. I mean, that's all you can say is like 1 week's time. I mean...
Time seems to be getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, it's a spin, spin.
And things get worse and worse. Things get faster and faster, and eventually we'll have a new dictator. So that's pretty much all one can really look forward to, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about with Bill. But I mean, like, since you're on, and me and you been talking about the politics a lot, and I know people, politics and economics, they're boring stuff. They really are. It's boring to hear, but you know what? You need to hear the stuff because it's the foundation of this New World Order. Politics, because it's politicians the one that put the Antichrist in power. It's economics is the one that brings us into this global one-world currency. And I know it's a boring subject, but I mean, it's good. And we're going to cover U.S. news as well. But, you know, QE3, I mean, like, I know this is a little old news now, but I mean, like, I want your take on this whole bailout. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's nothing more than the slow murder of the United States dollar. I mean, it's indefinite money printing. As long as the other countries use our money, it's not going to be as bad. But I mean, there's only going to be so long before other countries begin to realize how much of a joke our currency has become. And then when other currencies or when other countries stop using our dollar, we're going to see massive inflation here. It's just a matter of time before the dollar's dead. It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. You know, the thing is, they might as well just do it now. Never mind the bailout. Just do it now and get it over with, because that's all you're doing is prolonging things. And the things we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. And I know, you know, because we talk about this so much on the air on Infowars.com about the Federal Reserve, about QE3, the economic crisis. But you know what? The best thing to do is get rid of the Federal Reserve. That right there will solve the problem. You got to cut the head off the snake. Never mind the little tentacles of the octopus. You need to go after the head of it.
Yeah, you know, as Tom Woods likes to talk about, he's like, getting rid of the Federal Reserve is good, but you have to replace it with something that's not like the Federal Reserve. And a lot of criticisms with people who want to end the Fed, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, you think that if you just get rid of the Fed, everything will go back to normal. Or if you wanna replace, you know, a fiat dollar with a gold-backed currency, then you think that will solve all of our problems. No one's saying it's going to solve all of our problems. We're saying it's going to make things better if you actually have a commodity-backed monetary policy. It's not going to fix all the problems overnight, but like you said, it's definitely you've got to start with the correct thing, which is what Ron Paul wanted to do. Ron Paul wanted to introduce competing currencies against the fiat dollar, and I mean other states are looking into that. So, you know, with the advent of QE3, with the continuous bailout, the continuous printing of $40 billion per year for the mortgage-backed securities, eventually people are going to wake up in various states, and they're going to allow for competing currencies. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before the dollar is dead and before people start to realize we need something different.
Absolutely. And, I mean, we're in a mess, Rich. I mean, like, me and you've been covering news for a few years now, at least. And, you know, we grew up watching Alex just about, and we're in a mess. We're in a big hole. I mean, and it seems like, you know, people, I see comments on YouTube all the time and hear people, Alex, he preaches doom and gloom. InfoWars, all they preach is fear-mongering. No, we don't, because if you actually listen to the show instead of running your mouth, you would actually say, yeah, we have to push the doom and gloom first to let you know, hey, smack you in the face, hey, wake the hell up. Bottom line, wake up.
Man, if a guy had, like, if the guy's on fire, bad example because you should probably know that he's on fire, but you've got to let people know that, you know, hey man, your house is on fire.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not doom and gloom. That's, hey guy, I'm trying to help you.
I mean, what do you want?
Your house is on fire.
And what do they expect? I mean, you have to promote the doom and gloom first, but Alex is constantly, if you actually listen to him, people out there, some of you out there, he constantly offers solutions and ways to, things that matter and all that. And people quickly, they hear half a story. You know how that goes. You have half a story and it spreads like wildfire, whatever. But if you actually listen to the guy and all that, I mean, it's just like we're in a mess, folks, and we got lots of news to cover. I mean, I haven't touched half of it yet. And I want to get your take on that. And also, you listeners out there, 1-877-789-ALEX, open topics. And we want to talk about the economic crisis, politics of Romney, Obama, and Homeland Security. Hey, Rich, you see that commercial with the Obama phone girl?
I've seen the interview with the Obama phone girl. I haven't seen a commercial.
I mean, not the commercial, it's late at night here. The YouTube video.
The woman saying that he gave us a phone, he gave us a phone.
You guys want to play that quick? I don't know if you have that in the TriCast.
It's upsetting. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, when you're ready, just throw it on screen, but it's hilarious. I mean, we've been playing this all week. It's the new thing at Infowars.com here, and we all been, like, just laughing about it. And, you know, it's just... But it shows the poverty of America, and
it really does, and that's the sad thing.
It's funny, but it's sad. It really is, and I feel bad. I feel bad laughing at that girl because what they've done to people, what they stuck people down to this submissive. Oh, we got to depend on the government.
You got Obama.
There it is, right there.
Everybody in Cleveland, low minority, got Obama's phone. Keep Obama in president. He gave us a phone.
He gave you a phone. How did he give you a phone?
You sign up if you on full stamps, you on Social Security, you got low income, you disability.
I have a question. Okay, what's wrong with Romney again?
Romney, he sucks.
That's a great. We got one here where Elmo, it's Elmo being interviewed on TV. It's on YouTube, whatever. Just type Elmo Obama phone. It's great.
Oh, God.
And yeah, people, give us a call, 1-877-789-ALEX. Let's load the phone lines. It's 4 a.m. here in FEMA Region 6. Let's wake people up. Let's wake up America. Let's wake up the world. On with the charge against the New World Order. And we need your support, people. MoneyBomb, InfoWars, MoneyBomb.com. And we got I'm on fire, man. I could go for another 4 hours, man. I tell you, I'm going to be on tomorrow night, too, people. 1 a.m. Central. I'll be on for 4 hours tomorrow. And we got a stunning show for you. We got tons of guests. I got, let me get the list here. We got, the Hernandez family.
You on full step, full Social Security, you got low income, you disability.
Wait, let me get my Obama phone.
He gave us a phone. He gave us a phone. He gave us a phone. Obama phone. Everybody Obama phone. Everybody Obama.
That's funny. That's great stuff. Yeah, people, it just shows I don't mean to make it fun of it, folks. I really don't. It is funny in a way, but the Obama phone. I mean, there's tons of videos out there. I think the video's got 6 million hits now, whatever. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to have Steve Hernandez, the Hernandez family from San Antonio on. Actually, I might have you come back tomorrow, Rich, if you want to be on again. You there, Richard?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, probably have you come back on to, at the end of the show again tomorrow.
Sure, man. I'll be around, so let me know.
And we're going to have the Hernandez family with the RFID chip in San Antonio. They're going to be coming on tomorrow. And, then we're going to have James Miller. This guy, he's a good friend of mine from Orlando. They deported his wife. His wife, he was legally married to her. She had a job, a tax status. She was paying taxes, a good citizen. And they deported her. And now every time he goes to travel to see her, they harass him. They detained him and tell him they expect us every time you travel. Because we had him on our show last year. And ever since then, he's been under a lot of scrutiny. Every time he travels, they pull him into the customs agency, pull him in to basically say, you're going to expect us every time you travel. They harass him big time. Then we got Michael Murphy from Why in the World They Spraying. I mean, the guy's amazing about chemtrails and everything else. So we got Christopher Keys from SWATs. I mean, if you type Christopher Keys, SWATs, SWATSEdge.com. Great stuff. And but anyway, Rich, let's get into some news. And we get the phone lines packing up here. We're giving them another few minutes here. And this hasn't been confirmed yet, but it was an article from October 7th. Homeland Security graduates first corps of Homeland Youth. Now, it says on September 13th, 2012, the Department of Homeland Security graduated its first class of FEMA Corps Youth, a.k.a. Homeland Security Youth. And this sounds like the Hitler Youth, if you ask me. And it hasn't been confirmed yet. So people don't take this serious right now because we haven't confirmed the source yet. But there was articles surfacing everywhere about it. And it's from President Obama's AmeriCorps volunteers. Now, we got to get a hold of the AmeriCorps Volunteers Foundation to see if this is actually true. But if it is, I mean, they got a picture right here. If you want to, zoom in, I'll get a document cam here. And of about 200 kids graduate into Homeland Security. I mean, what is going on, Rich?
You know as well as I do, man. They're indoctrinating the youth, and they're preparing society for civil unrest. You control the youth, you control the next generation. You control the next generation, you basically control the future. And so we see this anytime the children are being told to spy on their parents. We see this where the children are singing ridiculous songs praising the leader. We see this with, government indoctrination everywhere. It's just another phase.
Oh, yeah.
like we said, things are going faster, and so we're going to see more weird stuff like this.
Look at the city year. It's a group that, it's a youth group, especially homeless kids, whatever. But they were marching, Obama's youth brigade. You know what I mean? They were marching, chanting Obama and all that. That's scary stuff. And if anybody knows history, Adolf Hitler did the same thing. He had youth brigades. And when he was rising up to power, the whole world loved this guy.
Yeah, but that's not Obama. That's going to be fine. It's not Obama. Then it's, you're being crazy comparing this to Hitler. What's wrong with you? Come on.
Yeah, it's terrorist talk. Bad man, terrorist talk. You don't talk that way because we'll come in and shut you down. We'll arrest you like we did the returning veterans, the talk show hosts and everything, which is in document. They're targeting returning vets. That's in the MIAC report, which I've got right here. Actually, let me run through that quick.
Oof.
I mean, this is disgusting, folks. I mean, this is from the horse's mouth again. Before I go on the air and talk about something, I get positive proof. And no, folks, it's not a conspiracy that they're targeting returning vets. Okay, it's not. You had the Patriot Act, okay? We got the documents here. Some of them we had to print a couple pages out because they're so damn thick. You got the HR 5122, the John Warner National Defense Act, that annulled posse comitatus, which is unconstitutional, shouldn't be a law. Then remember S3081, John McCain's belligerent bill?
Yeah.
You can't talk bad about the government. No. You can't talk bad about the government because you'd be a terrorist. You should be locked up. Then they going even further. The National Defense Authorization Act just put the Patriot Act on steroids.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like, it's crazy. Then you've seen this with the radicalization into violent extreme. If you disagree with the mainstream media, you're a terrorist. You are a terrorist, Rich, because you told me earlier that you don't agree with Obama, so you should be locked up, you racist.
I mean, everyone is going to get locked up if they have their way.
Oh, let's not forget, Project Megiddo from the FBI. You could PDF all these files, folks. They say anybody who believes in Bible prophecy, you're a terrorist. It says it right in the document. If you're against the New World Order, you're a terrorist. And then the MIAC report, returning veterans were coming after you. And also Endgame, I just showed earlier. Endgame from Homeland Security, you're a returning veteran, Ron Paul supporter right in the MIAC report as well. You're a terrorist and we're coming after you. So they're coming after you, Rich. You better lock your door, man.
Oh, yeah, my door's nice and locked. I got 3 bolts on that one, but they had the, what was that, document that came out in 2009, I think. It was a Department of Justice glossary of various terms that conspiracy theorists and it was
from the Southern Poverty Militant as well, right?
By extremists and potential terrorists. And everything that we talk about, everything from biblical money to council on foreign relations to genetically modified food to, take our country back, all these were terms that the Department of Justice is telling local law enforcement to go on the on the lookout for. Make sure if you hear these people talking about this that you pay more attention to them because they might be a domestic terrorist or radical extremist. It's ridiculous. The government, Dan, the government lies to you. They take away your freedoms. Then they lie to you about taking away your freedoms.
No.
And
they
then
don't
they
do
call
that.
you a terrorist when you complain about them taking away your freedoms and lying to you about it.
You can't say that because you didn't build that either, by the way. Your apartment, you didn't build that, whatever. You can't say that at all because the government's out for our best interest. I mean, look, they're giving Obama phones to us. Isn't it great?
He gave us a phone?
Yeah, he gave us a phone. I mean, isn't it great? I mean, he's going to do more, too, like that lady said. And we shouldn't be talking bad about the government. There's a song again. Food stamps, Social Security. This is great, InfoWars MoneyBomb, folks. InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com. We're up to $109,000. And, folks, it's a lot. Sounds like a lot, but it doesn't cover a year of overhead here in the InfoWars studio. But, I mean, man, I tell you... I mean, it's just, it's been a great ride here, InfoWars. I mean, I love it working here and everything else. And, we're going to cover some news. And actually, we got the phone lines are loaded. Wow. So anyway, we got Alex from Ohio. Alex from Ohio, how you doing?
How are you doing?
Oh, great. Great from FEMA Region 6 when our liberties are being taken away.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I've been, first off, I check and go on InfoWars like 4 times a day and RT all the time. I love your guys' show. I watch all the videos, especially Police State 4. Love that film. What I wanted to talk to you about today is I found out recently, the day before the Occupy Cleveland one-year anniversary, I was talking to my friend, I don't want to mention his name, lived with the Cleveland Five, and he actually let me know that this is really scary. Honestly, my heart's beating so fast.
Oh, that's all right. Take your time, brother. I mean, you got the floor, man.
I mean, this is my first time calling it, so it's really big news.
Well, thank you.
He told me that the FBI informant threatened all of them that if they did not go along with the plan, that they were going to have the mafia kill them and their families.
Wow. Yeah, that's just bulliness. I mean, they just want to intimidate you, and the worst thing to do is ever go with a threat.
Yeah, because me and one of the other occupiers, I mean, I was one of the first to visit Brandon, to visit Tony, to visit, well, they got it wrong. They said Scully, but it's Skelly. And, but it's just, it's really, it's nerve-wracking to know that we're heading towards a dark direction, and knowing, especially recently with the New York, you know, that was obvious FBI entrapment.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time, if you notice, every time there's a so-called terror attempt, you know, a terror attack attempt, guess who's got their fingers in the mix? It's the FBI. They admit, they come out and admit, yeah, we gave them the bomb, we coached them, we taught them how to shoot the gun, whatever. But, oh, you talk about your conspiracy theorists, and, yeah, under these Army manuals, you should be locked up.
I mean, I've been with Occupy Cleveland since December 20th, and I mean, I was there when on March 5th we had we went to the sheriff's sale of the foreclosed home, you know, stealing the homes and selling them off, and you know, when Brandon Baxter and all those were found. And actually, the most craziest thing was I was spending the night at the warehouse, and then in the morning, one of the members. The morning that you know, the news broke, we found out about the you know, the whole bomb plot thing. I get woken up on, like, we hear, we're like, what's going on? You know, they just got caught trying to blow up the bridge, and we're like, what? And everybody jumps out of the you know, out of there, you know, out of the tents that we had inside our warehouse. We were just freaking out. And so, I mean, we were really under some, you know, trauma. And then, you know, I don't know if I want to, you know, say too much more about this, but
oh, no, don't be afraid. The thing is, do not be afraid of these people. When you truth, okay, a real truther will voice out, okay, without fear, because we're like, I don't know if you heard the show earlier about, you know, Mr. Schnoebelen, like how he expressed, we're not afraid. You know, when you're out for truth, you're out to do something good, okay? God's got that protection over you. There's nothing these scumbags can do about it, and that's what they hate about it. They hate the fact that you're a creature, okay, that's created in the image of God, the Creator. They hate that. That's why they want to destroy you. That's why Lucifer, okay, he wants to destroy humankind and mankind put together, because we're made in God's image. And they'll do anything to make you fear and intimidated. They'll say, you know, you keep your mouth shut, you little scumbag. We're going to squeeze the life out of you. But you know what? They're not going to squeeze the life out of liberty, because just like in 1776, we fought through adversity. The odds were overwhelming. But you know what? Keep the faith, brother. Keep up, you know, keep the spirit of liberty in 1776 and the spirit of God in you, and just blast them. You know, go out there with a bullhorn and say, hey, you know what? I know your stuff. I know what you're doing, and I'm standing up against you. And that's it. You know what I mean? And you get other people to do it. And if they threaten you, you go out with twice as more force. And remember, because if God wants you to do something, you stand up for truth and liberty, you will not be defeated. Bottom line. And we're going to go to the next caller, Anthony from Wisconsin. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep, and if you want to ask me or Richard a question, go ahead.
All right. I'm really excited. I'm a first-time caller, a long-time listener. I love what you guys are doing over there. InfoWars is just the best.
Thank you.
You guys rule. And I'm 22 years old. I just graduated from St. Albert College in Green Bay in De Pere. It's right by where the Packers play, kind of. And I'm a history major there, and I just am getting so just getting so pumped about what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear, right there. That's what I hear. 4:32 in the morning, Central Time. You got a man that's getting pumped because we're charging into the New World Order. MoneyBomb, InfoWars, MoneyBomb.com, and keep up the spirit, man. And you got a question?
Yes, I just wanted to say something. I wanted to just give a shout out to Bill. I saw that he was on just right before Rich was on, and I'm excited about that because I really like you guys were bringing up the kind of the more spiritual, the cult aspect of this New World Order scum. And that is by far the message that needs to be translated.
Oh, it is, and that was the tip of the iceberg. And we could have, me and Bill could have been on the phone for another 6 hours. No word of a lie, not exaggerating. We could have been on the phone for another 6 hours and not even touch the fabric of this. I mean, this is so in depth, and this needs to be covered. And people think it's conspiracy, but this is, okay, we're not, going after the bankers ain't going to solve nothing. Going after Mitt Romney or all these delegates, and you're going to go after the head of the snake. It's not the people, it's the evil on top. The evil on top, that's who you're going to go after. That's the enemy. Evil is the enemy. You don't hate the puppets, you hate the evil that controls these puppets, because these people are just mindless zombies and do what they're bidding. And, yeah, thank you for your call. And I'm sorry, Rich, I know I brought you on, and I'm just over here ranting.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. And what's your take on that, what he was talking about?
Well, who was talking about?
There was Anthony from Wisconsin.
Oh, the history major.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful that people who actually are interested in history are also interested in, I guess, the real history. The history that's not found in textbooks. It's important.
It is, and I used to hate history, but when I got involved with the truth movement, I went. They lied about George Washington in school. They lied about Thomas Jefferson.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
About the founding of this nation. They lie about World War I. They lie about World War II. Just recently, I read a really great article on Lou Rockwell's website that basically showed secretaries of war, or the secretary of war, and political people in political power during World War II, and all their statements based on whether or not Hiroshima and Nagasaki should have been bombed. And if you look at it, I never was able to read this. They never taught this in high school, but all the prominent politicians and even members of the military were like, we probably shouldn't need to bomb Japan.
Well, Japan surrendered months before. This is on record. Japan surrendered, said we surrender. And what's his name? The president. My memory's lost right now. He said, "I'll know when they surrender." Whatever he said, he made a derogatory comment, and we're gonna bomb them, big boy, little boy, whatever. And it's just so much history just clogged in my head. And,
and it's not that kind of history isn't really taught in school.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that someone who's someone's a history major and actually interested in legitimate history, and can either make a difference either teaching high schools or college students or going out there and becoming some kind of political activist or whatever. It's good. The people are hungry for truth. There's only so much that someone can be lied to in terms of every institution, from schools to media to churches. There's only so much people can put up with before the BS detector goes off.
It's right there, like
I'm being lied to.
Bill was saying, it's in plain sight. It's in plain sight, people. Just look, okay? The world, let me demonstrate this the best way, okay? When you're born, okay, they put these glasses on you. Everybody see the old 3D glasses? You have the red and the blue lens, okay? That's what you get put over your head, okay? And this goes into politics, too. This goes into politics, too. It's right and left, that's it. You're born with these glasses on, and you are, and you think it's the only things exist. But when you start piercing out of the box, you start peeking out of that little box you're in, all of a sudden the glasses come off, and wow, a whole new spectrum opens up to you, and you start seeing things that, wow, it's been here the whole time, and I just started noticing this. And it's not a conspiracy no more. And I don't know how much to say about that, man, but people, you just got to wake up and look for yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Alex Jones. Look for yourself, people. Bottom line, and it's out there in plain sight. Man, and let's go to Fred from Minnesota. How you doing, Fred? Hey, Fred. Hey, how you doing, man?
Oh, real great. Hey, Dan, you're doing a fabulous job.
Thanks, man.
It's got some new talent and everything, and I like the way the turn, the show is making a turn. But I wanted to talk to Bill, but I couldn't get on.
I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, I wish we had more time for Bill, man. We could have went on all night with Bill, and
I would like to talk to Bill for about 3 days straight, and I'd like to talk to you for about 3 days
his website,
straight. But anyhow, I'm 75 years old, and I've put in self-taught on the computer and the internet and all that. I'm not a nerd. I put in 5,000 hours of research.
God bless you.
Okay, now, if I may, I would like to give you one website, and then I'll get off the air.
Oh, go right ahead, man. And thank you for calling and staying up this late. God bless you.
Okay, AmazingDiscoveries.org.
AmazingDiscoveries.org.
Yeah, and you're a researcher, and you're a talk show host and all that, and I know you're busy as hell. You do a lot of research, but go all over the web. I mean, over his web, because I think I know where you're coming from.
Thank you.
God bless you. You're doing a great job. I want to see more of you.
And Fred, thank you. And I promise you, I will go to that website when I get off the air here, AmazingDiscovery.org. I read it down, actually. And if you can see it, if you're watching PrisonPlanet.tv. And thank you for your support. And God bless you, man. 75 more years to come, too, brother. God bless you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right, and let's go to Denham in California. Hi, Denham, you there?
Hello?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Calling from the West Coast. You staying up late, man? It's, what is it, 2:30 over there? 2:39?
Yeah, 2:40. I've been with you guys all but 2 hours today, so addicted.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I actually just wanted to call, make a couple points, and ask one question that either you or Richard could answer.
Oh, sure.
One, I think it's important for me to note that I'm 24 years old, an African-American male in Hollywood as an aspiring filmmaker, and I've been awake for probably about 5 months. And it's absolutely ridiculous that everything is just right in front of us. And especially being in Hollywood, I just didn't even realize it. It's like walking around just in a constant state of just daze. And I woke up because I realized that pretty much what you guys were just talking about. It was just you were born and then you just you're kind of micromanaged in a way, and even your parents are kind of micromanaged, and then they go from the things that they're taught. But I just remember growing up, and there was just all these questions that were never answered. And I started getting really deep into the Holocaust, and then I wanted to start making films about the Holocaust. But pretty much there were so many questions that were just not answered, and I just could not understand. So finally, I turned to what everybody deems as the crazy people, which were the conspiracy theorists. And I realized that after just studying, the Fritz Springmeyers and the Pastor Lindsey Williams, and then all of a sudden coming up on Alex Jones, I was just boom, this is it. Now, for me, now that I've unlocked that, I'm having a hard time even getting to going to my parents to kind of wake them up, and I talk to them, tried to talk to them about the the QE3. I've done a lot of research. I've been doing this for probably 6 months, just dedicating, stopping everything else that I'm doing, kind of just doing this. And it is frightening because we do need to become prepared. And I know that everybody that's called in before, and all the people that you guys have had on, it's not a matter of if it happens, it's just when. And so I was just wondering if you guys had any advice on about how to go to the older people, even when you have knowledge, even when you are saying they're going you guys know about FEMA camps, and they're no, and then you show them documents about FEMA camps, and showing them videos that they're still in this this daze. It's just it can't possibly be real. The United States of America just doesn't do that kind of evil. And I always say well, if you're a Christian, then you know that this kind of evil exists.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, again, what I was talking about earlier, the churches, and Rich, if you want to answer the question, the churches condition you, the 501c3 churches condition you to, stay in your pews. Don't, Ned Flanders on The Simpsons, anybody knows who he is, stay in your little pews and just keep your mouth shut. No, don't bother with evil. When Jesus says the opposite, you're supposed to be in the midst of evil, bringing light and truth to the world, not sitting in your pews being little Ned Flanders Christians. You're supposed to know your enemy and expose them. Bottom line. And we're not going to be magically beamed up. It's just so much stuff that the mainstream churches are teaching, the schools and everything else. They want to zombify the population, bottom line. And you got that question for Richard then?
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you have any I was trying to think of the word. Do you have any go into, like, as far as even, like, the Illuminati and esoteric knowledge and stuff like that, but just as far as economics, as far as, you know, getting prepared, because, you know, I do know that what Pastor Williams came on last week, or I believe the week before, and talked about in 6 to 8 months, your dollar is done. The money that you have in your bank account's gone. You know, and personally, I don't want to see my parents drug off into FEMA camps.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Nobody wants to see that. And that's what what right now, what we're trying to do right now is, you know, waking people up like yourself and all that. And, you know, the money bomb. And I know it's not all about money, but we need the money to push this information out worldwide, because we're exploding here in InfoWars. We're exploding. And we're loading the ship up right now. And Rob Dew was telling me this this terminology. You know, the ship, people don't think the ship's moving right now. All it is loading, okay? And this is a warning to the New World Order. We're loading that ship, brother. And when that ship gets loaded, we're coming full steam right at you, and that's why we need your support. And, Rich, you want to answer that for him?
Yeah, actually, that's a very common issue, something that's actually close and near and dear to my heart. Waking up, so to speak, people in your own family who are older, it's very challenging because of the normalcy bias. You know, if you're around the same age as I am, people who are older than you, like your parents, they lived in an era where the economic situation was much better. Obviously, things always got better. They never thought that they would ever see what we're talking about. My best advice, the way that I can give you advice, if I can, about this, is don't be very excitable when you talk about this kind of stuff. Show it inch by inch, small amounts, incrementalize when it comes to what kind of information you're giving. And if you don't think they're going to prepare for themselves, I mean, they're your parents. Prepare for them, you know? I mean, if you have money and you're storing food, do it yourself and put some extra for your family. If you're putting some money into silver bullion or whatever, put some of your own and get a little bit extra stash in case something happens to you and your family, because we know it's going to happen. And parents don't want to typically listen to their children when they're giving them advice on economic issues for obvious reasons. You know, they don't want to listen to their kids.
It's usually the father's giving advice. And people, if you want to invest in gold and silver, I mean, we got a great sponsor here, MidasResources.com. I mean, we had Ted Anderson on here 1,000 times, and everything he said, with the price of gold going up, everything else, he's been right on target every time, folks. MidasResources.com.
You know, if you can predict your like I'll give you an example. My father is he knows a lot about money. He knows a lot about economics. But one thing he constantly said, he's like, they'll never do a QE2. They'll never do a QE2. And I told him flat out, they're going to do QE2. And what did they do a few years later, or a few months later? They did QE2. And when that happens, I told him they're going to do QE3. Because, you know, I'm just like you. We read this stuff. We're like, oh, man,
yeah, no. They'll never put us in camps. They'll never take us over. Hitler would never do that. And, you know, the Polish people, what could happen to them? That will never happen to us. Bam. The German citizens, that'll never happen to us. Bam. Americans all, that'll never happen. Yeah, well, you know, it's happening now. And let's go to Mike from Texas, FEMA Region 6. How you doing, man?
Hey, great show tonight, Dan.
Thank you.
Really speak with passion. Good to have Rich on and Bill earlier as
passion, baby. That's what we're all about, man. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
So a quick question. We're all kind of in the same age group. I'm right here in Texas. The question really comes down to something that we haven't really talked a lot about, and that's kind of the whole cyber terrorism and the whole movement. What are y'all's take on what cybercrime is doing, zombifying, the entire thing? I mean, we've got a report that 60 Minutes put out, you know, last weekend that was all about Huawei, which is a Chinese telecom provider, bringing out and supplying the telecom providers in the United States with cheap product. Where do you guys see that going? Do you guys see anything with that? Is this the new sign of terror?
You talking about the
I mean, it's kind of unavoidable.
You talk about the cyber attacks and all that?
Yep.
Yeah, well, it is. It's again a false flag, because they know they can't take the internet away from us right now, and they're gonna use everything in the book. I mean, if you go to those websites there for the download music, Morpheus and all that. If you go to them, it has a FBI one and all that, whatever, because they want to censor the internet. They're going after websites, and I'm sure they're trying to shut us down too, but they know they can't right now because we got too many followers. And Rich, you could give your take in a second. And the thing is, they want to shut us down. They don't want you to have the power to go out and gain this great knowledge is out there. And Rich, what's your take on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's really what it boils down to. First, they come for the people that they think that they have, the public support for. So the file sharing, they're like, well, you're breaking copyright law, so we're going to come after you guys. And then they'll like the Stuxnet worm. I mean, we know that the West and Israel, they admitted that they created this weapon of cyber, it's a cyber weapon. They created it, and then they used it, and then they say we need to take away your right from the internet to protect you from the weapons that we're creating. So we're already seeing instances of cyber attacks. And I mean, the only way that you can prevent it from actually being able to take over our internet is by exposing it.
Exactly. And does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, it does.
Well, awesome, man.
Does.
Thank you for calling, man, and thank you for staying up this late and listening to me run my mouth off over here. But, thank you for your support, man, and God bless you.
Hey, God bless you guys, too. Great show tonight.
Thank you. And Josh from Wisconsin, how you doing, man?
Hey there, I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, great. Yeah, just feeling the power you have, Liberty moving forward, man. I'm just excited to be part of this.
And it's such a pleasure to be on stream here.
Well, you're live right now. You're live in front of millions of people on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, Infowars, MoneyBomb.com. And so what's your question, brother?
Right on. Well, I just want to let you guys know, I'm about as awake as, a morning of going out and hunting for some deer in the morning, like right now.
Oh, good. Get some good venison. Oh, no, don't do that because you're supposed to eat the GMOs. Don't bother hunting with you. You're supposed to eat those GMOs.
Right.
You go, the supermarket.
We're supposed to be induced with all this and think, it's all good and dandy,
All right. Well, what's your question? Question for Richard?
Well, not so much a question. It's more of where I live right now and how big of a scare it is to me. I'm 20 years old. I have a 4-year-old son. And I've woken up, real quick the last, past months here, and I'm from Wisconsin, and I happen to be born and raised in the town called Oshkosh, and we pretty much manufacture, the biggest the military vehicles that that are being sent overseas and to places where we really don't belong.
Yeah, the thing is, again, they want you to be scared. I got a newborn, so he's going to be 1 year old next week. They want you to be afraid. And people will tell me, why'd you have a son with all the stuff that's going on? The thing is, you can't give in.
Right.
You can't give in. And you got to be strong. You know what I mean? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. And that's fine. And I'm just sick to my. I'm just sick beyond my guts. With what's going on.
And that's good because the thing is, like that movie Network. You seen that movie Network? And he says you got to get mad. You do. You got to get mad first before anything. And I'm not saying going on a shooting spree or nothing, but you need to get mad. Then go out and inform people. Say, hey, smack them in the face with truth and say, hey, listen, we're under attack right now. We're in big trouble, folks, and this is what you need to do. And, you got a 4-year-old son, and, the thing is, don't let that bother you with these people trying to attack. They're attacking the families, we know that. They're attacking all forms of society, so we need to step up. And if they come at you, man, you got to go out stronger, and thank you for your support and everything, and, thank you for calling in, brother.
Right on, and I got introduced to, Alex Jones, and I very much so look up to that man. He's my main man that I listen to every day, and it's such an awesome. I was telling my coworker because he's the one that introduced me to this. And me and my coworkers, we shoot the shit every day at work about how corrupted this world is and what wants to be, what they.
Well, you can't. Alex, I know he hates the praise and all that, but you can't say enough about the guy. The guy brings so much energy when he walks in this building. It's just like it's opening up a vault of energy, just bam, bam, zapping people, and you come alive, you know what I mean? And thank you for your call, Josh. And Joshua, Joshua from New York, how you doing, man?
Hey.
From Fremont Region 2, I believe. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. I actually have a lot to say. I want to talk about the particular differences between Romney and Obama. People argue about if there's a difference or not. With Mitt, we already know there's always talk that there's going to be riots, and if he's elected, there's no doubt that his support for Iran is going to be much more overt and quick in response in terms of invading Iran. But you look at Obama, he's clearly building up Islam all over the Middle East. He's empowering Islam over the Middle East, and you can ensure he's going to implement more executive orders in America that are, as a group, are, socialism, which will drive our economy to the ground. So with either one, there's a huge thing. I'd also like to say that if you notice, on the first day of the first debate, you had the thing in Benghazi, and then the second debate, then you have this thing, the Federal Reserve building in New York, this FBI contrived thing. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous how overt the criminality is of these people. One more thing I wanted to get across was look at the ownership of the largest containers of wealth within the personal sector. You look at cars being one of the largest ones, and your homes being the biggest one, as well as healthcare. And look at how Obama bailed out these banks, and how we don't actually own our homes, how a lot of people don't actually own their cars, how people are feeding money into a healthcare system, which isn't. You see what I'm saying? What this is leading up to? There's a perfectly set up format for this test. It is so clear to see how this is lining up perfect.
Oh, it is. And I hear exactly what you're saying, man. And Rich, you want to give you a take on that? Because we're going to be running out of time. We got like 5 minutes left. And Joshua, thank you for your call. I wish I had more time for you. We got a few more calls I want to try to squeeze in. And real quick, Rich, what do you think about that?
Well, it's just, what is there to say?
You're lost for words because the stuff is happening. They rub it in your face.
He mentioned the over-obviousness. I just want to make a point on that. It's obvious to us. It's obvious to us when you see the FBI give the bomb to someone and then foil their own plot. But the majority of the people aren't reading Infowars.com. They're not going to RealityZone.com. They're not reading things that Gerald Celente or Tom Woods or G. Edward Griffin or Paul Craig Roberts, they're not reading these guys. They're watching Fox, they're watching CNN, and CNN and Fox don't say the FBI foiled their own plot. CNN and Fox report terror suspect at the Federal Reserve has been detained. And so really what it boils down to is the fact that we need to expose the truth, and we need to tell people, that we need to point out that the emperor's got no clothes. That's really what it boils down to.
Absolutely, and I had the manual right here, the Army Field Manual, basically saying if you read the field manual, Army Field Manual, to say if you disagree with mainstream media, you're a terrorist. But I'm not going to go down that road right now because I'll get to a rant. We don't have much time, and we got Randy from Michigan. Randy, how you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, great, feeling great. It's almost 5 o'clock in the morning. We're still rocking here. Infowars.
Hey, it's 6 o'clock in the morning here.
Awesome.
My mom and dad live down there in Texas. I gotta mute my music. I'm listening to some Typo Negative while I was waiting to see if my call came through. Man, I tried 100 times to get through and finally did.
Oh, good. Yeah, we got flooded phone lines, and I apologize to everybody that's waiting. We got a Syrian girl coming up next.
Hey, I got a few things I'd like to talk about.
Yep.
And if I have to go to a commercial, I'll hold through the commercial.
Well,
to keep on the air.
my segment ends in like 3 minutes. So if you want to just get, I'm on again tomorrow night. So if you want to call, again tomorrow night,
I can try to be quick about it.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
But it's an honor, first of all, to be able to talk to anybody that's involved with InfoWars.
Thank you.
Second of all, I live in Flint, Michigan. Here in Flint, Michigan, it is insane insanely crazy. Like, there's people that get the wrong order at, like, a rallies, which in some states is known as a checkers. And they literally, like, shoot their guns through the drive-through window because of their bad order.
Unbelievable.
We have a higher crime rate in Flint than Detroit does.
Wow. Well, remember the Detroit, the article that came out, the police are warning people, enter at your own risk. And the polls show that 80% of Americans are afraid to go to Detroit now. But, yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Do you have internet in front of you right now?
Yes, I do, but I don't have time, brother. I got like a minute and a half on the show here. And please call back tomorrow night, man. I'm sorry, I got to cut you off because we got to get going, man. But call back tomorrow night and tell the screener that I told you to call back, and you'll get back on. I'll be on at 1 o'clock in the morning. That'll be 12 o'clock your time. I promise I'll get you on tomorrow, right? So thank you, Randy, and you got to call back tomorrow. So we got a little minute left. And Rich, your final take, just general of what we've been talking about tonight.
In general, we all know that something bad is going to happen. We know there's going to be some kind of event, whether it's an economic event, another war. History shows that it's going to repeat itself. The only thing you can do is prepare. The only thing you can do is speak out, tell people, expose the situation, but exposing the situation isn't going to stop these people. These people are crazy. These people are sociopaths. One of my favorite articles that I read the other day was America tunes in to see which sociopath they like more regarding the debate. I mean, things are going to get bad.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing that you can do is prepare.
Exactly. Then I wanted to talk about that. We got probably 30 seconds left, whatever. Well, Rich, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to have you back on tomorrow night, man. Tomorrow night, I want you back on, man, because I'm sorry I didn't give you enough time, whatever. But I just want to touch this before you go. The right-wing, left-wing paradigm. People, I talk to people all the time. Well, we got to go for the lesser of two evils. Okay, evil is evil, people. I got family and friends right now who are going for Obama. Some for Romney. Oh, he's the lesser of two evils. I don't care if you're family and friends or not. You're an idiot. Bottom line, because if you can't see, okay, Romney laid the blueprint for Obamacare. Unbelievable, and you can't see that. I lived in Massachusetts for 4 years. I had to pay $200 a month on my taxes if I didn't have health care. That's $2,400 off your taxes if you didn't have health care. And you call that great. Okay, that's Obamacare is going to be like too. It's the same damn thing. But we're running out of time. We got the Obama phone girl coming on. But please join me tomorrow night. But stay on all night if you can. Join me tomorrow night. I'll be on at 1 o'clock Central for 4 hours. We're going to rock this money bomb. We got $110,000. Keep it going strong. And I want to thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And tomorrow night, we got a jam-packed show full of guests. So this is Dan Badandi for Infowars.com, Infowars MoneyBomb.com. Please donate. We need your money. We need to expand the operations. And have a good day, and God bless you.